Tune wasn't dropped inside the King Power alongside your commentator Joe Shannon and the former Chelsea and West Ham defender Scott Minto. We just heard before the break a very impassioned, I guess, response to what's going on at the football club from our football editor Jason Bourne. Leicester losing 5 home games in a row without scoring. No team has ever lost 6 in a row without scoring in the Premier League era. What is the issue from your perspective? You know, to hear him ask a player, you know, how are you going to get that goal? Not that win you need, that goal you need. It's embarrassing almost.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and obviously if we go bigger picture, we'll be talking to the end of the game. Yeah. Because there's so many problems that Leicester have both on and off the pitch. But look, I try and look at the positives. I mean, I agree with Jason. I think they're down, to be totally honest with you. And I personally, if you ask me, I think Wolves have the better players to be that one team to stay up. But Leicester have to believe, you were right to point out, they're just 2 points behind Wolves, who have Bournemouth away tomorrow. You would reckon that Bournemouth will probably win that one. Ipswich have got Spurs tomorrow as well, so Spurs obviously will want to try and reverse what happened at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium earlier in the season as well. So there's a chance come the end of this weekend that if Leicester are able to do the job and get all 3 points, that they will end this weekend outside of that dotted line. And it's amazing how psychologically that can lift you going forward. It might just take one game to do that, but still I just genuinely don't feel that even if it was the case that they're good enough to sustain it. We talked about the fixtures they've got coming up with West Ham, Chelsea, United, City, Newcastle and Brighton, and a lot of those away from home. It's going to be very, very tough for Leicester, but they can take positives from the last 2 games, and that's something that I'm pretty sure that Ruud and his backroom staff would have taken a lot of sort of video footage and shown the lads, look, this is what you're capable of. We're going to play a Brentford side that are very good away from home right now, but they're not as good as certainly as Arsenal. So why not try and build on that? And you're right, to get that first goal, the opening goal, can change everything, and it changes the whole atmosphere. And I can speak from a player's point of view that once the fans are behind you, it is so much easier. When the fans are on top of you, even though they're not having to go at you personally, it makes it much harder.
You know, a lot has been made of this goal-scoring record of Leicester City of late, but they have actually conceded 55 Premier League goals. Only Southampton have conceded more, but most Leicester have conceded at this stage of a season for 66 years. They've got to stop Mbumo, Bissa, Sharda today, and the threats that Brentford have from set pieces. It's going to be a very difficult night.
I hope Jason isn't listening to that. There's Mikel Damsgaard as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, look, honestly, if you ask me, you're fancying a point here, aren't you? A draw. I personally think Brentford, if they play anyway how they have in the last few away games, that they will go on and win this, because they've got 3, 4, maybe even 5 key players that can change a game.
Okay, let's very quickly check in on the live action underway in the Championship. Lawrence Moore is at Bristol City versus Middlesbrough.
Yeah, Bristol City 0, Middlesbrough 0. A bright start under the lights at Ashton Gate. The home team on the front foot early on. City forward Scott Twine saw a swerving drive, narrowly flying over and landing on the roof of the net. Victory would send Bristol City into the top 6. Borough desperate to stop the rot of 4 straight defeats. But with 12 on the clock, it's Bristol City 0, Middlesbrough 0.
The Lionesses begin their Nations League campaign against Portugal. Charlotte Richardson.
It's Portugal 0, England 0. A bright start for the Lionesses, who won a corner with their first attack on goal. It was taken short, and Ella Toone found Jess Park, who whipped the ball in first time. It was flicked clear. It's been a front-footed beginning from England. Lauren James with plenty of touches, linking up play. And Manchester United pair, Grace Clinton and Ella Toone in harmony, led to Toone coming close to breaking the deadlock. We're coming up to 15 minutes played, and it's Portugal 0, England 0.
Remember, live Championship action over on Talksport 2 as Burnley host Sheffield Wednesday. But here at the King Power, it feels like a seismic evening. Ruud van Nistelrooy's appointment was meant to be a step forward. Instead, it feels the Foxes have taken 3 steps back. They're staring an immediate relegation back to the Championship down, while Brentford want to do the double over their hosts for the first time in 72 years and move into the Premier League's top 10. Let's find out if they can do it in the company of former Chelsea and West Ham defender Scott Minto and Talksport's Joe Shannon.
Thanks, Hugh. Good evening, everyone. Well, perhaps no greater pressure in football than that of a relegation battle, and Leicester find themselves in the thick of it at the wrong end of the Premier League. 9 defeats in their last 10 league matches, scrutiny on the director's box, and perhaps 2 in the manager's dugout already for Ruud van Nistelrooy. Brentford are here hoping to add to the misery, and they have their sights set on Europe. Leicester, Hermansen in goal, Koulibaly, Fass, Okoli and Christensen, Ndidi and Simare, Di Cordova-Reid, El Khanous and Ayew behind Vardy, and Brentford, Flecken in goal, Ayer, Collins, Pinnock and Lewis Potter, Norgard and Janelt, and Burmo, Damsgaard and Schade behind Visser. And as the Leicester fans sing, I'm reminded of a mural that I saw. I wandered down to the old Filbert Street site. Of course, it's no longer a stadium anymore. It's long been demolished, but there's a terrific mural there that reminds everybody of Leicester's Premier League title win and calls on the fans to be the 12th man. They need that positivity from the stands tonight, Scott Minter.
Absolutely, and to be fair to everybody connected with Leicester City Football Club, they've definitely tried to do that. The PA, the flames, the lights, they're creating the atmosphere. Now it's down to the players.
Yes, the floodlights are on. It's not full at the King Power Stadium, but mostly so as we begin the start of yet another huge long weekend of top-class football all across the Talksport network. Leicester desperately need a win in their relegation fight. Brentford out to further their European challenge. And the visitors in the red and white striped shirts, black shorts and black socks, playing from left to right, get the game underway. Early ball hoisted down that far side towards Kevin Schade, out of play for a Leicester throw, and Woyo Koulibaly will take it, the Leicester right back making his first start for the club. Leicester are all in royal blue and playing from right to left in the first half. I can already see Ruud van Nistelrooy watching on from the near side touchline as Leicester go long towards the halfway line, out for another throw, just shy of halfway. Let's get news of a goal in the Women's Nations League. Portugal against England. Here's Charlotte Richardson.
It's Portugal 0, England 1. Alessia Russo breaks the deadlock. Lauren James switching up play from the left to the right-hand side where Lucy Bronze dinked the ball towards goal. It was a simple enough tap-in for Russo, who's in the right place at the right time. Portugal 0, England 1.
Thanks, Charlotte. That kicked off about 15 minutes ago and underway in the Championship. Burnley against Sheffield Wednesday over on Talksport 2. Make sure you download our app. It's free and easy to download. You'll need it particularly ahead of next midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. All 10 Premier League matches live and exclusive across Talksport, Talksport 2 and Talk Radio, as Brentford win a free kick just in front of the dugout on the near side of the field as we look at it. Thomas Frank with his arms folded. We're seated at the back of the main stand to the left of the halfway line, and there's a long time to get Brentford the ball, would you believe it? And Christopher Ayer in fact will take a throw on the halfway line. He goes square to Mikkel Damsgaard, a regular source of assists for Brentford so far this season. His pass up the inside right is too heavy. Christensen, the Leicester left back, will play it back to Hermansen, the goalkeeper, and his raking clearance high downfield up into opposition territory, headed away by Keane Lewis Potter. A bright start, vital tonight for Leicester, you feel. Di Cordova-Reid down the far side, and Soumare is in down by the dead ball line to put it black, deflected away off Pinnock, and then Soumare hit it again, turned away by the goalkeeper. Brentford clear from the rebound. Well, that was nearly just the start they needed. Soumare up on that far side, the right, down by the dead ball line. I thought he was going to pull it back. He did. Pinnock in the way, and then the left-footed shot turned away by Flecken.
Listen, it's a great start from Leicester. It's exactly what the fans want, to make sure they keep them on side. They almost did everything bar score the goal. There's a great run from Soumare. You wouldn't expect him to get to the byline there, would you? I thought he might have dinked it to the far post. He's tried to hammer it across. It's come back to him. It's a decent strike as well. It's just straight at Flecken. That's the problem. So good goalkeeping positioning, but good start from the home side.
Former Chelsea defender Scott Minto with us tonight. Brentford go high down the inside left. Schade over the top of Wout Fass, who was watching it drop over his shoulder unconvincingly. Schade slows the play down, plays it back to Vitaly Janelt midway inside the Leicester half. Back out wide to the left and Schade. Leicester 0, Brentford 0. Live tonight on Talksport. A few latecomers to our right in the director's box here. And as I say, a lot of scrutiny on the off-field staff at Leicester City. John Rudkin, the director of football, under particular pressure, given what has been perceived poor recruitment at Leicester, and you can't really argue with that, given how their season has gone. and Burmo out on the near side, the right for Brentford. On the underlap coming forward is big defender Christopher Ayer. Down by the dead ball line, he's tracked all the way by Ayew, but he's poked it into the path of Norgard. Head to the penalty area, robbed of possession. Now Leicester set Vardy away, racing into the Brentford half. This is where he's so dangerous. Away from Pinnock, then back onto the left. What a run! Good save, Flecken. Well, the goalkeeper stood up, tall and firm. That was explosive, Jamie Vardy, rolling back the years as Leicester look on the attack again. Pinnock in the way once more. That is twice in the first 4 minutes that Flecken's made good saves. And now Cordova-Reid crosses from the right-hand side. Vardy goes down inside the box. Nothing given bar a goal kick by the referee. That was Vardy twisting and turning Pinnock inside out. Flecken there again with the save. 0-0 Scott Minter.
Oh, that deserved a goal, didn't it? You have to be a Brentford fan to say no. But brilliant Jamie Vardy play. It's exactly how he wants, that kind of ball in behind. And it's a good little race with Ethan Pinnock. To be fair to Pinnock, I mean, look, he's 38 years old, but he was still able to, first of all, get onto the ball. Pinnock kind of got with him stride for stride, and then he realised he had to come inside one way and then back outside the other, and got the shot off. Oh, I tell you what, if that had gone in there, what a Jamie Vardy goal that would have been, and what a start for Leicester City.
It reminded me of Leicester's title-winning season in particular. So many goals scored by Jamie Vardy from that sort of position.
It's what he wants, though, Joe. It's exactly the type of ball that he wants, in space and behind.
Open start to the game. Schade in the penalty area at the other end. Looked like he was tripped. Referee says no. VAR will check it as Cordova-Reid and Koulibaly closed in on Kevin Schade. No real appeals from the Brentford players, and it remains 0-0. Leicester have made the better start, but that was Brentford's first real threat.
Need to see that one again. It looks like he came from behind.
Christensen with a great cross from the Leicester left, headed away by Collins. It'll drop down to Ayew, about 5 yards from the edge of the penalty area. Leicester 0, Brentford 0, but Leicester already could have scored twice in the game. Live on Talksport.
They could have scored twice, and
can you believe
Brentford could have had a penalty.
Well, I wouldn't expect it to be 0-0, Scott. Particularly given Leicester's defensive record this season.
That's true. I was going to say let's not say that, but actually you can say that.
We can back it up with stats, I'm afraid. The most Leicester have conceded at this stage of a season for 66 years. El Khanous with a right wing cross, headed only half away by Janelt, then hooked over his shoulder by Collins. That's dropped up to the midway point of the Brentford half. A purpose and zest about Leicester in the very early stages, but it is 0-0, and they really need to take their chances tonight. A win takes them out of the Premier League relegation zone. Brentford would go 10th if they were to win tonight. Out on the right-hand side for Leicester is Soumaré, a half touch back towards the run of Wilfred Ndidi, who couldn't get there, and then a foul coming across by Soumaré again, Koulibaly rather. And Brentford clear long from the resulting free kick. High up to the left-hand side where it's brought down by Schade. And Burmo in the middle, so to his Damsgaard arriving late. Schade goes towards the dead ball line and his touch is too heavy and it's swept away from his feet by Wout Faes, who'll hammer it towards halfway and away from danger for Leicester City.
Tell you what a start to the game we've had. Both teams trying to go for it. And I agree with you. I think Leicester, when you're on top, when you're starting so well, but you're also fragile in confidence, you need to score early so you can keep that going. The longer it goes on with 0-0 and Brentford come into the game, which you would expect they would, then that's when the sort of confidence saps away a little bit and the fans become a little bit tense themselves, which can emit onto the pitch.
Jordan Ayew now racing upfield for Leicester over the halfway line. He's got Vardy to his left, almost square there, Vardy. There's a 1 yard ball to find him. Vardy pings the ball crossfield into a central area, and Wilfred Ndidi, the number 6. Now arriving on the overlap is Koulibaly, looking lively early on. Back out wide to the right-hand side for Leicester. El Khanous crosses right-footed, big deflection off Schade, and that'll be a throw to Leicester, away on the far side, the right, deep into Brentford territory, in front of those away supporters. Bristol City 0, Middlesbrough 0, a latest score in the Championship. Burnley 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0 in our live game in that division on Talksport 2, and Portugal 0, the Lionesses 1 in the Women's Nations League. Leicester 0, Brentford 0 here, as Leicester work their way into the penalty area towards Ndidi. Again, right down by that right dead ball line. It's smacked away up into the dark night sky by Pinnock. Not too far, though, as Leicester look to try and win it back, but now Brentford have it with Visser. Very calm with a layoff to the right back position, and Ayer, who's jinking away from Ayew and chipping the ball up the right-hand side. Too much on it from Burmo. Christensen retrieves the loose ball. How about that penalty shout for Brentford, Scott?
Pen for me, Joe. I don't think he's got any of the ball, Koulibaly, and Sharda's very clever but not clever as in he just sticks his leg out to get fouled. He actually genuinely wants to put his foot there because he wants to get close to the ball, and Koulibaly makes the tackle and doesn't touch the ball, brings down Sharda, and I think that's a penalty. And do you know what? I'm actually glad that VAR haven't got involved, even though I'm saying it's a penalty. We're complaining all the time that they get too involved and it should be a light touch. Go with the referee's call, even though I don't think it's particularly the right decision.
Visser with a clever flick into the path of Damsgaard. The angle is totally against him down on that left-hand side. He's played it back to Sharda on the corner of the penalty area, but the offside flag was up anyway. 9 minutes gone, and Leicester 0, Brentford 0.
And just to finish on what I was going to say there, VAR was brought in to stop clear and obvious errors, not to referee the game. So although I'm saying actually I think it's a penalty, most decisions are always subjective, and I want that to go with the referee and have the referee's call on the pitch, and is what Howard Webb is wanting to do. So I don't think that comes quite under the clear and obvious error, even though I'm saying it's a penalty. So I'm glad it wasn't given.
Only 12 points from 7 Premier League games under Ruud van Nistelrooy for Leicester. High-angled ball right up the middle by Fass. Good ball looking for the run of Ayew, but it's gone beyond him. He was out-muscled by Christopher Ayer, and it'll trickle through to the Brentford goalkeeper Flecken, who already looks in excellent form. Brentford's number one. All 4 clean sheets that he's enjoyed in the Premier League this season have come away from home, and Brentford's away form has dramatically improved over recent times. You might remember the terrible run on the road they had earlier in the season. Well, now they've won 3 on the spin away from West London. Koulibaly looking lively, winning it back over the halfway line for Leicester, but Sharda there to track in front of him and roll it all the way back to Flecken again. But that was the one change that Van Nistelrooy made tonight, enforced in the right back position, and the man making his full debut looks like he can potentially provide some important touches for Leicester. He's got to do some work defensively now as Sharda wriggles in field, but his touch is very heavy, and it's easy for Hermanson, the Leicester goalkeeper.
Yeah, look, I wanted to see Buonanotte starting, to be honest with you. I think when you're down there, you need a little bit of a maverick. I think Ruud van Nistelrooy has gone with Decordova-Reid and Jordan Ayew because he's at the point where he feels he needs to rely on players that he knows what he's going to get from them. But at this moment in time, he's not really getting anything from them. It's actually been a really good start from Leicester in the first few minutes. But I just feel Buonanotte, for me, just adds something a little bit extra and give a bit of magic. And I think there's clearly something gone on between those two, because I think he should be starting.
Decordova-Reid with a looping cross, and it seemed to dip over Flecken. Unfortunately for Brentford, it dipped beyond the crossbar as well. One of those miss-hit crosses from Decordova-Reid. And Flecken backing away. He's a big goalkeeper, but didn't seem to have a sight of that as it floated behind for a goal kick to Brentford away to our left-hand side. Leicester 0, Brentford 0 here on Talksport, with 3 more games to come for you tomorrow, including Everton against Manchester United from at 12:30 live with us, and the 3 o'clock commentary on Talksport 2 from the Premier League is Ipswich against Tottenham.
And this is what I was talking about, and the way that Brentford are now developed their game under Thomas Frank and playing out from the back.
Out to the right-hand side is Christopher Ayer with a first-time cross all the way to Sharda at the back post. Time to bring it down. Shot is blocked. Damsgaard gets the rebound. Got a half shot away. That was cleared by a Coley. And then Damsgaard caught his man very hard in the follow-through. And it's a free kick to Leicester City. But that was certainly a nervy moment for Ruud van Nistelrooy. I think it's Ndidi who's gone down.
Yeah, and Thomas Frank's got his head in his hands, because they played the ball out for Flecken to one side, to the left. He played it out when the press was there to the right-hand side, and Ayer run with about 60 yards with the ball. And then he's played it down the right. A good cross has come in. And Sharda, well, he's brought it down. Koulibaly's missed the header initially, but he's actually got himself in the way. I don't think Hermanson's getting anywhere near that, because Sharda's absolutely whacked that one. and he probably wouldn't have time to react. So it was a really important block from Koulibaly after initially missing the cross.
Got his hat-trick in the reverse fixture, did Kevin Schade, as Brentford cleared towards halfway in Mbeumo. Half tackled by Christensen, the loose ball dropped for Damsgaard. Early ball high over the top, Visser with his pace, in between Akoli and Fass goes down on the edge of the box, seemed to stumble. I don't think that was a foul. Leicester win it back, and Akoli will play it to the right back, Koulibaly, who is under pressure from Schade, deep inside his own half. Koulibaly here has to turn in field, then back out to the right. 13 minutes have been played, and it is Leicester 0, Brentford 0, as Pinnock goes in with a firm but fair challenge out on El Khanous down in that right back position now. It's another Leicester throw, but it is quite a lively opening to the game, and the early signs are good that it could be a very interesting match. We've seen certainly half chances of plenty, and one big chance for Jamie Vardy denied by Flecken.
Yeah, I think the surprise already, we're not yet 15 minutes into the game, that it's 0-0. Let's hope it keeps that up. As you said, the way Leicester play, they generally concede. Brentford score, but they're looking the most attacking side.
Damsgaard down with the dead ball line, chips in the high cross, left-footed, and Mbeumo heads it down. Poor header really, away from goal, couldn't find Norgard initially. It has come back out to Mbeumo with a left-footed reverse ball that again is poorly hit, way over hit, and it's a goal kick, though Thomas Frank is out of the dugout to applaud. Is very keen on Brentford winning back-to-back Premier League games for the first time this season, not just for the obvious reasons, but because he's called for more consistency if they've got a chance of getting in those European places. And what a remarkable story that would be. Leicester 0, Brentford 0 on Talksport with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Leicester against Brentford live right now. Search Now Sports. Header away by Ayer for Brentford, midway inside his own half. It's dropped to El Khanous, lively with the ball at his feet, plays it backwards to Soumare wearing gloves. Quite mild tonight at the King Power Stadium in terms of the weather. Koulibaly infield, back to Fass, and now everybody's inside the Brentford half, bar the Leicester goalkeeper Mads Hermansen. Akoli for Leicester. They've made a bright start, but they must capitalise on that, you feel. Fass in the centre circle as Leicester go back to halfway, then he plays a high raking ball. Again, much too much weight on that, and it's harmlessly out of play. Ironic cheers from the Brentford fans. It's a goal kick, Scott.
Yeah, he's forced that when he didn't need to. Just keep passing and until you see an opening. But you're right, Leicester have started really well in the first 7 or 8 minutes, but the last 5 or 6, Brentford have come back into it now and are starting to dominate in terms of possession, but also territory and chances. You know, Leicester need to make sure they stay on the front foot as much as possible. And maybe, again, I said about how Brentford are more than happy to try and play out from the back, which they didn't when they first came up for the first few seasons into the Premier League. That's how they've developed and evolved. But it's also a way, if Leicester can get that press right, just nick it one chance and then suddenly they're through on goal.
Brentford have the ball with Damsgaard, an ambitious first time pass with his left foot, trying to turn it, no look, up to the halfway line. They have won a throw anyway. Damsgaard gets it back from Keane Lewis Potter, who has impressed in that left back role of late. Now Yanal just inside Leicester City territory. Brentford slowed the game down to walking pace. Whatever happens tonight, you can have your say on the sports bar. 03717 223344. Once we're done this evening on Talksport, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you reaction from both bosses, Thomas Frank and Ruud van Nistelrooy, live into the programme, whatever happens. Brentford on the attack again. Schade, left corner of the penalty area, plays it square to Damsgaard in a very tight area. Lovely feet to dink it down the middle towards Visser, who scored in off the post. He made the run out of nowhere. Leicester split apart down the middle, and Visser turns it in off the post. And Brentford lead. It owed so much to the nifty footwork in the build-up, and Visser the man to turn it beyond Hermansen. Yet again, Leicester's soft centre defensively is exposed. Yet again they concede, and it's Leicester 0, Brentford 1. Johan Visser almost out of nothing.
Well, again, we were saying about how Leicester started well, but Brentford are coming back into it, and they just lose the ball in a dangerous position. Schade plays the ball inside. Damsgaard, it's a great little dink over the top. But oh my goodness me, how are the two central defenders, in particular Akoli, not able to deal with that? Again, it's just really poor. The movement in behind, no one's coming round and tucking round or reading the danger. No one's getting tight on the edge of the box. And lovely little flick. And look, it's a It's a really lucky goal in terms of he's kind of kicked it down, it's bounced, gone over Hermansen, and then it's gone in off the post. But again, how often have we said this? Just really poor Leicester defending after what was a very good start.
Brentford's record Premier League goal scorer has another for the club. Johan Visser, 1-0. Vardy though, inside the area. Tight angle denied by Flecken. Leicester looking to respond immediately. If ever in 18 minutes, so far as we've seen, was to sum up Leicester's season, this would probably be it. There have been fleeting moments of promise, but a poor goal conceded, and they're behind in the Premier League yet again. Reverse ball by El Khanous into the path of Soumare, left edge of the penalty area, cross to the back post, too much on it for De Cordova-Reid. Now Ndidi hoists one up high to the far post again. Nathan Collins heads it behind. Leicester win a corner. That's a good response.
Absolutely. When you go 1-0 down, especially at home, you sort of look at the body language and the character of these players, and certainly in the first few minutes since that goal, they've been very much on the front foot. Again, we talked about they could do with scoring the first goal. They really could do with scoring the equaliser soon.
Well, here comes the corner for Leicester City. Remember, lost 9 of their last 10 in the Premier League. El Khanous short to Ayew. Back out wide to El Khanous again. The number 11 looks for the run of Soumare to the dead ball line. It's now going away from goal. Had to feed El Khanous, hugging the touchline still. Left-hand side, led with the edge of the 18-yard box for Leicester, who are 1-0 down on Talksport. El Khanous with a reverse ball. It's come off Norgard and deflected out of play for a Leicester throw. The Leicester fans are behind their team, but can they respond on the field to that setback? A strange goal in many ways, even though the build-up was good from Brentford and the ball from Damsgaard was delightful. Visser stolen out of nowhere. But how were Leicester caught like that with 4 or 5 blue shirts back in the penalty area? And still they couldn't defend it. Fass in the centre circle, gets a return ball back from Soumare. Now Okoli, just inside the Brentford half, left-footed chip up the inside channel, header away by Christopher Ayer for Brentford, and it's just like Brentford to strike decisively at that sort of point in the game as Damsgaard picks up the ball midway inside Leicester territory, plays the ball back to Norgard and now on to Visser again, 25 yards out, he jinks away from Okoli, is caught, that's a free kick. 20 gone. Brentford are flexing their muscles now. 1-0 up, Scott Minter.
Yeah, after that initial good start, we did say that Brentford are coming back into it, and look, Leicester don't deserve to be a goal down. I think on the face of it, what we've seen so far, good start from Leicester, Brentford come back into it, but it's about being clinical. Jamie Vardy's been unlucky, a couple of chances where decent saves you'd think that a goalkeeper should make, and yet again you just talk about that Leicester defence. Even if once he gets the ball, you're not quite sure what he's going to do, and it was a lovely little ball from Damsgaard, as you're right, but just get your body there, make sure the player runs into you so you can say to the referee, I couldn't do anything. There's not even sort of that understanding, that appreciation, that football intelligence from a defensive point of view.
56 times they've conceded in the Premier League this season. Damsgaard whips in the free kick for Brentford, high into the penalty area, thundered up into the air by Ndidi, and nervousness about the Leicester defending. The ball bounces down at the midway point of the Leicester half, then El Khanous on the half volley with a high ball, hopeful towards Vardy, looked like handball by Norgard, nothing given by the referee. Leicester fans, players and Ruud van Nistelrooy all appeal. Norgard with a downward header straight to Mbermo, but he climbed all over the top of Ayew there, and that's an obvious free kick to Leicester. Leicester 0, Brentford 1. Goal in the Championship at Bristol City. Here's Talksport's Lawrence Mora.
Bristol City 0, Middlesbrough 1, and Tommy Conway on his return to the club has headed his side in front. He was following up a shot which was saved by O'Leary, but just pushed it out. There was Conway 6 yards out to head it home. He's been booed mercilessly from the start. He's gone and celebrated in front of the City fans who've rained bottles down on him. So a really ugly scene on the far side of the pitch, but it is after 37 minutes, Bristol City 0, Middlesbrough 1.
And still goalless in our live Talksport 2 commentary tonight. Burnley 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Burnley hoping to close the gap on the top 2 in the Championship. Sheffield United against Leeds United live on Talksport 2 on Monday night, and then next midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, every single Premier League game in that midweek round is live with us on the Talksport network. That includes Leicester away at West Ham on Talksport next Thursday, and Brentford at home to Everton on the Talksport app on Wednesday evening. Forward by Christensen. Early ball down the left-hand side for Leicester. El Khanous looking to spin away from Collins. El Khanous lost his footing there. And Norgard will smack the ball high up over the halfway line, chasing his Schade, but that'll trickle through all the way to the Leicester goalkeeper in green, Hermansen. Leicester trail yet again. 1-0 down to Brentford. The ball bounces up on the halfway line. Brentford with Jan Elk going back to the big centre-half Collins, and now Visser the goal scorer. Heavy touch in the centre circle, one back by Jordan Ayew. Ayew immediately looking to dart forward. On support on the overlap is Christensen. He called for it. Leicester go infield to a central area, and Soumare, who then sprays the play wide to the right-hand side. Koulibaly unchallenged with a very odd cross-come shot that has ended up high into the front row of seats. Now, you tell me whether he was thinking about crossing that or trying to blast one with his laces there.
Actually, looking at the replay, it did look like he was almost having a shot. I thought he tried to whip it as much as possible. If you're having a shot from there, you've got to hit the target. I mean, that's poor, because they're in a decent position. Just put the ball in behind the Brentford defence, and even if a Leicester player doesn't get to it, it's a horrible ball to deal with from a defensive point of view. He's just given the ball back to Brentford.
Ruud van Nistelrooy pondering on the near side touchline, does look a little bit concerned, the Leicester City boss, and perhaps so he should be. You'd have to say he will be under pressure if this run continues. It doesn't matter how long he's been at the club. Everybody knows the rigours of the Premier League these days, and his job could be under threat if Leicester's run continues. Visser's prodded the ball out to the left-hand side for Brentford to the overlapping Lewis Potter, who, as you can imagine, is just as adept going forward, perhaps even more so than he is defensively, because nominally he's a wing-back or left winger. As the ball goes back to Collins in the centre circle, Brentford have got control of the game, I think, now, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely, after that initial burst from Leicester.
Ayew in field, 25 yards out, the fullback. He's turned away from Christensen, and he's found Viss on the edge of the area. Missed kick by Ndidi. The ball's been nudged wide to Damsgaard, who chips it in high to the back post, and there's a foul spotted by the referee in the build-up, and Leicester a little fortunate there. Coley's gone to ground, and I don't think he'll need treatment. In fact, maybe he will. He's stayed down as Christensen comes across, but no great shape to any of Leicester's defending over the course of the game. And the fact that Ayew, 6'6" and a right back, is able to run beyond three blue shirts maybe tells you where Leicester are defensively at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be fair to him, he's a centre-half playing right back who actually sometimes just looks like a really good wing back. And he talked about Lewis Potter on the other side. I touched on the fact that maybe, an England spot is up for grabs. I'm sure Thomas Tuchel, if he comes to England and watches some Brentford games, then he would be impressed.
Ayers won it back for Brentford on the halfway line straight away. Coley okay to continue for Leicester, who are 1-0 down, being heartily backed in most part by the home supporters, I should say. D. Cordova Reid on the halfway line, looks for the run on the overlap of Koulibaly, but Brentford win it back again. Norgard, the number 6, pushes it on to Damsgaard, who's looking threatening every time he gets the ball. Out wide to Mbermo, inside the area, angle against him, left-footed corner, picks up the corner, makes it 2. Leicester falling apart yet again in the Premier League, and now the boos ring around the King Power Stadium. That was so simple for Brentford. Mbermo to cut inside Christensen, curl it beyond the desperate dive of the goalkeeper. One-way traffic in Leicester tonight, and once more it's all going against Ruud van Nistelrooy. The pressure piles on the Leicester manager. Leicester 0, Brentford 2.
Well, it's just far too easy, isn't it? For all the huff and the puff and whatever Ruud can try and do to try and set them up, still, you've got to defend better. We've got a perfect angle from when Mbermo picks up the ball, and I'm saying, show him outside, show him outside. And what happens? I mean, Christensen can turn around and say, well, I didn't get any help. But if that's the case, you've got a one-on-one situation. Show him down the line, on his wrong foot, where the goal suddenly looks smaller. What happens? He stands off him, 2 yards? He doesn't even have to do that much of a skill. Comes inside, on his best foot, the goal opens up, and it's a simple finish in the end. And do you know what? We were talking before the game, and they were saying like they're down already. With defending like that, how can Ruud van Nistelrooy, for all what I've been saying about how he's got to do something different, he's got to try and put different players on, I still think he should, but ultimately it's just shocking defending, it really is. And It's a championship defence, it's not a Premier League one.
Leicester trying to attack from the kickoff. Once again, lovely back heel. Koulibaly with the square pass, steered away. Good back heel by Ndidi in the build-up, and then Koulibaly rolled it towards the edge of the 6-yard line. Nobody there in a blue shirt to turn it home. Brentford rather more robust defensively than Leicester, and there's a yellow card out of the pocket of the referee, I think here for De Cordova-Reid, maybe something that he said after Brentford won the free kick. It is 2-0 to Brentford here, and I wonder whether some of the Leicester fans, well, after that second goal went in, there were a flurry who headed for the concourse areas. Maybe they're only heading off to get a pie or a pint, but who knows, maybe some in the home crowd have seen enough already. Leicester just cannot defend. That is 30 goals conceded in 13 matches now under Ruud van Nistelrooy. High ball downfield, straight down the middle from the goalkeeper Flecken, controlled by Schade in between the two centre-halves. He's gone wide to Mbeumo, down by the dead ball line. Mbeumo taking on Christensen, who backs off. Mbeumo crosses. Oh, Vista should have scored. Spun off his head and deflected away from goal. Now Lewis Potter on the edge of the penalty area. All credit Brentford, who are seizing upon the Leicester nervousness now, as Damsgaard with a deflected cross, headed away by Jordan Ayew for a corner. A third goal will surely seal it for Brentford, and we haven't even yet had half an hour of play.
At least Christensen, even though he kind of got done, he showed Mbeumo down on the outside, so Mbeumo had to put the cross in. It allows for defenders to set themselves up properly, which is what they did there. I mean, that second goal, it's just schoolboy defending, it really is. And it's put Leicester under so much pressure. 1-0, they're still very much in the game. 2-0, and suddenly all the pressure comes on them, especially what's happening both on and off the pitch and where they are in the league right now.
Corner to Brentford, taken short by Mbeumo. Corner of the penalty area is Damsgaard. Back out to Mbeumo. Dangerous ball in left-footed, punched away two-handed by Hermansen from inside the 6-yard box. And then a towering header away by Wilfred Ndidi. No great leadership in those defensive positions at the moment, it doesn't look like, for Leicester City, as Van Nistelrooy, arms folded, watches on helplessly in his long dark coat on the near side touchline. A truly great former Premier League striker, but the situation at the moment at Leicester looks helpless for him. As Brentford come forward again, Lewis Potter 10 yards from the corner flag. We'll give you the latest odds with Ladbrokes in just a moment, as Leicester with De Cordova-Reid, he can't win it back. Little touch forward by Lewis Potter down the left hand side. He was fouled, and it will be a free kick to Brentford about 5 yards from the corner of the box. Those latest odds right now, you can back Leicester to win at 18-1, back Brentford to win at 10-1 on, or the draw at 8-1. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes 18+. BeGambleAware.org. It's not just the live football we're bringing you this weekend. We've got top boxing commentary tomorrow night on Talksport from Riyadh as well. Beterbiev against Bivol. That's also live on our boxing YouTube channel, as well as all of the live football we've got this weekend, including Everton against Manchester United in the Premier League tomorrow at 12:30. 2-0 Brentford, and Burma will take the free kick about 10 yards infield from the left towards the corner of the penalty area. Plenty forward for Brentford here. Leicester have got everybody back, but every time Brentford come forward, they look like they can score. We'll get a word with Scott in just a moment. And Burma's left-footed free kick, floated to Norgard, header in, 3-0. Easy as you like. Brentford are absolutely cruising, and Leicester have capitulated in this first half. More boos, more fans out of the seats. Leicester remaining firmly in the relegation zone, and at this point, with the way they're defending, surely there is no way out but back to the Championship. All three goals have been absolutely routine. Norgard heading home the latest, totally unchallenged inside the 18-yard box. And if you had to have any chance of staying up in the Premier League, you simply cannot defend like that. The Leicester fans boo, they are right to do so. Leicester 0, Brentford 3.
Yeah, and look, let's talk about the positive first. The movement from Norgard, who got in between the defenders. He just got in front of Vardy, and you're just sort of thinking, it's a free kick. I mean, it's a good ball in and it's a good run, but how can you not, even if you can't get ahead on the ball, you get the blocking, you get your body in the way, like I talked about with the first goal. I'll tell you what, Joe, 3-0, we're just over half an hour. This is going to be a very difficult hour left for Leicester City.
Well, credit to Brentford, as now dozens of Leicester fans, it looks like, are certainly heading for the concourse areas. Maybe they're heading for the exits here already.
They're not all going for pies and beers.
They're not. And if they are, they'll run out of them pretty quickly. Deep displeasure and disappointment at the King Power Stadium. Leicester City 3-0 down, and Brentford have dismantled them here, and all credit to Brentford for that, you have to say. Leicester free kick midway inside Brentford territory. They've actually looked lively at times going forward, Leicester. Jordan Ayew infield from the left will dink in the free kick, right-footed, only half away. Sharda has to thump it into the away section in one corner of the ground, and it's a Leicester corner on that far side of the field. But from 3-0 down, Scott, it's hard to make any case for a Leicester comeback. And worth noting that Leicester haven't even scored in their last 5 home Premier League games. The stats are against them, and once again the scoreline is against them. De Cordova-Reid will take the corner for Leicester City. Right-footed into the near post, cleared away by Jan Elt. It'll drop down to the corner of the box. Simari a little slow to react, just steers it back out wide to the initial corner taker, and it's Jordan Ayew to dink it in left-footed with the delivery. El Khanous at the back post, across goal, and headed away by Christopher Ayer from inside the penalty area for Brentford.
Do you know what? It's about character now. The game's done. They're not coming back from this, and this could get messy if it's not already. Could get 4, 5, maybe even 6 if Brentford want it to be. I do remember being 3-0 down against Manchester United one time.
Christensen delivers, and it's cleared away by Collins.
We got it back to 3-2 when I was at West Ham. Paolo Di Canio had a good chance to make it 3-3, and we lost 4-2. We got clapped off, but it's not happening here.
El Khanous 10 yards per dead ball line for Leicester. They are still on the attack. Simari, a little flick into the path of El Khanous, who can't get there. Corner to Leicester. Let's quickly get half-time at Ashton Gate with Lawrence Mora.
The break, Bristol City 0, Middlesbrough 1, and on his return to Ashton Gate after a controversial summer move, Bristolian Tommy Conway has headed his side in front. He celebrated in front of the City fans who've been booing him since kick-off, and Bristol City trail Middlesbrough 1-0 at half-time.
Corner by Ayew into the near post and gathered just about by Flecken. I think he actually mishit that, Jordan Ayew, but Flecken was there to gather safely into his chest. The Brentford goalkeeper, who we should remember has made 2 or 3 good saves over the course of the game so far. Burnley 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0, the latest score in the Championship on Talksport 2 tonight. No surprise that it's 0-0 with Burnley's defensive record. 11 league clean sheets in a row. How Leicester would love even one. Only 1 clean sheet in the Premier League so far this season. How much blame can you actually give to a manager, I wonder, when his defenders aren't even doing the basics right?
Look, I think, again, I've said a couple of times now, I do think he should make some changes.
Ayew's cross into Vardy, near post, and he's having it over the top from an impossible angle.
He's got to do something different. If he keeps doing the same thing and getting the same results, then you're going to get the same performances, and they're going to go down. He's got to try to do something different. But ultimately, Joe, it has been and always will be down to the players. And when you defend like that, there's nothing Ruud can do in that sense.
Leicester 0, Brentford 3 on Talksport. Half-time in the Women's Nations League with Charlotte Richardson.
It's Portugal 0, England 1. A dominant half marked by Alessia Russo's goal on 15 minutes. A bright start built to the breakthrough. Lauren James switching up play to find Lucy Bronze, who whipped in a great cross for her teammate to tap in. England have had the majority of the ball, largely untroubled defensively, and should have more goals to their tally. At half-time, it's Portugal 0, England 1.
Leicester and Brentford fans, 03717 223344 for the Sports Bar Weekender. Once we're done tonight on Talksport, could be a long night for Leicester City fans. We haven't even had 37 minutes, and Leicester are 3-0 down. Visser and Burmo and Norgard with good finishes, but such simple goals for the away team. Ayew down the middle for Leicester. 25 yards out is Koulibaly. On his overlap is De Cordova-Reid. Inside right, left-footed cross up to the back post. Christensen there, headed away by Ayer for Brentford, and now on Burmo streaking forward on the counter towards halfway. He's been held up by El Khanous. He'll play it back to Christopher Ayer. Jan Elt back to Collins. There was always a possibility, you felt, something like this could happen tonight, and you're absolutely right, Scott, to say that we really should give credit to Brentford as well. This is a Brentford team absolutely flying on the road in the Premier League, and they've looked for Visser with the high diagonal ball in the penalty area under pressure. McCauley, and the angle was closing on Visser, and he's hit it high over the top. It's a goal kick. But aren't Brentford playing well in the Premier League at the moment?
Absolutely. Do you know what? They're playing the ball out from the back. They're happy to pass and give it back to Flecken and come out the other side. They're also happy to go long. It's not a long ball, it's a long pass. And that ball over the top is certainly troubling this Leicester City defence. And I think there, when you see where Visser actually had the shot, he was inside the box, and it was a 50-yard crossfield pass. So really, Hermansen should be coming out and claiming that, but he's having a lack of confidence.
Flicked by Damsgaard down the middle. Coley having to really stretch for it against Schade. Did well initially, the defender there, but the ball has bounced down towards the edge of the D. Coley does just enough at the second attempt to smuggle it away from Kevin Schade. And now indeed he's giving it away. No confidence at all in this Leicester team at the moment.
Do you know what, Joe? I can't tell you how hard it is to be 3-0 down at home when you're struggling, lacking in confidence. The fans wanted to be behind this Leicester City side. They started really well, but again, we said they have to score when they are on top early on. They didn't. Brentford came back into it. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Now any misplaced pass, and there are massive groans.
De Cordova-Reid, right corner of the penalty area for Leicester, taking on Lewis Potter. Deflected cross loops up into the air, and it's another Leicester corner. I think the one positive for Leicester is they are at least showing some attacking intent in the game. The forward players don't seem to have lost the appetite for the fight, and I'm not saying that there's no effort from the defensive players either. I don't think that's the case at all, but they are bereft of confidence and quality, it feels like.
Absolutely. I think both of those at the moment, and that's the recipe for disaster. You know, difficult for Koulibaly coming in for his first game, but the other three are really struggling as well, and where you're hoping Ndidi and Samari can protect them, that ball over the top, they've got to deal with it themselves.
Jordan Ayew floats in the corner for Leicester, way to the back post, edge of the penalty area. Visser somehow gets above, fast to head it away. And now Leicester will restart the play effectively with El Khanous, whose ball is charged down by Mikkel Damsgaard, who has impressed with yet another couple of assists for Brentford tonight, and that takes him to double figures in the Premier League for assists this season. That is a Brentford Premier League club record, and he really has evolved into one to watch. Another player, yet another player improved by Thomas Frank, and a key cog in the Brentford wheel. 3-0 up, 5 minutes of the first half to go. On Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, they've got a van. El Khanous whips the ball with his right foot out to the far side. Ayew has brought it down, corner of the penalty area, goes on the outside of Lewis Potter, crosses charged down and blocked. And Brentford, I think, well, they'll know to remain diligent here, won't they? Scott Minto, even at 3-0 up, you never quite know in the Premier League, and there's still at least a half of football to go.
There's not too many games, Joe, where a team's 3-0 up and have ended up losing or even drawing it. Well, I think was it Luton last season?
Bournemouth, Luton.
They were 3-0 up. Yeah, I did
Bournemouth
that.
won 4-3.
I did that game. Yeah. I don't see that happening here.
Well, who knows? That's the beauty of football. But it does feel unlikely. Koulibaly lunged with the arm there in the aerial challenge. The referee's going to come across. He's not racing to Koulibaly. Here come the two Brentford physios to look after Norgard, I think it was, who was caught. Koulibaly being called over now by the referee. It looked a really poor challenge at first glance. Tony Harrington, I think, is just going to produce the yellow card for Woyo Koulibaly, the former Parma man making his full Leicester City debut tonight. It was a poor challenge aerially there. And he sort of caught Norgard with his shoulder, maybe? Scott?
Yeah, it wasn't like an elbow. I mean, it played the ball in, followed his run, the ball came up. It's a definite foul. It's a definite yellow card. I think that's the right decision, not a red card for me.
Well, they've called for the physios here, Brentford, and indeed a stretcher is on the near side touchline. Good noise from the Brentford supporters on the far side of the field. Lots of Leicester fans now leaving their seats. 3 minutes of the first half to go. I think quite a few Leicester fans have already left the stadium tonight, and Ruud van Nistelrooy is left to have conversations on this near side touchline with his coaching staff. They added Andy King, the Premier League title winner, to the coaching staff this week, did Leicester City, and Ruud van Nistelrooy has been talking all about how he knows the club, but no change in results for Leicester City. And it's never nice to to ponder a manager's future, Scott Minto, but again, with the rigours of the Premier League and the demands on managers at this level, he must be under a great deal of pressure. It doesn't feel sustainable if this run of results carries on much longer.
Look, I mean, again, I go back to, he's got to try and change things, and you would think he's got to try and change things at half-time. But actually going forward, they've been okay. It's defensively, they've been absolutely shocking. And you look at the bench, there's Vestergaard. Is he better than what they've got? Is it worth at least just trying something different?
Oliver Skipp, Connor Cody, Mabedidi, Daka, Thomas,
Luke Thomas, maybe. You know, going forward, they've actually not been that bad. And Jamie Vardy looks sharp. He's had a couple of chances, created them really for himself. It's just defensively, they're just... Every goal in any way they concede, and the third one sums it up. If you get opened up, that's one thing. Just a simple free kick, ball into the box, movement, not following it, free header, goal. It's just shocking defending, it really is.
Sumari 10 yards shy of halfway, a risky ball back by De Cordova-Reid. Fass had to knock it high up into the air on the half volley, header away by Pinnock from midway inside his own half. It's Leicester 0, Brentford 3, miscue by Coley, midway inside his own half, and then he's caught Visser with a high boot. That'll be a free kick, that'll be another yellow card out of the pocket of the referee. Third yellow card for a Leicester player in this first half, and a Brentford free kick in almost exactly the same place from where Mbermo whipped it in left-footed for them to score the third goal as we head into the last 40 seconds or so of normal time at the end of the first half. Burnley have scored against Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship. Burnley 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. I think it's Marcus Edwards who's got the goal for Burnley. Live over on Talksport 2 tonight. Talksport 2, your home of the EFL, and tomorrow lunchtime they've got commentary of another important game in the promotion race and the relegation battle as Sunderland take on Hull. We've got all of the football all of the time, the live boxing tomorrow night as well, and all 10 Premier League matches live across the network Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, live and only with us.
Well, at least it's not a 0-0 with Burnley.
Yes. Free kick to Brentford. 5 yards to the corner of the penalty area. Damsgaard has set up 2 already. He will drift it in right-footed this time. Header away by Christensen. The ball has dropped to Lewis Potter. 4 added minutes at the end of the first half. Lewis Potter delivers left-footed. Schade hits the post with a header. Totally unmarked. And Leicester scramble it away through Koulibaly. Fortunate not to be 4-0 down at the end of the first half. Cannot come soon enough for Leicester's beleaguered back line in particular.
My goodness me. I mean, if you're any of the front three, you're thinking, I've got a chance of getting a hat-trick. Kevin Schade must be thinking, I want to play against Leicester every week. Hat-trick, obviously, in the last game. They will get chances. And the way Leicester are playing as well, and they're losing their heads a little bit. A few people on yellow cards already. One missed-time tackle. I don't see Leicester even lasting with 11 men to the end of the game. This could get ugly.
Well, the interesting situation is, a minute into 4 added at the end of the first half, in the context of the game for Leicester, they are still only 2 points away from Premier League safety, but of course everybody else has still got to play this weekend. Damsgaard for Brentford into the path of Lewis Potter, 25 yards out, dead centre, wide to Johan Visser, took it well back towards Lewis Potter, and it will be turned in! It is 4 off Lewis Potter with the final touch. Although Leicester appeal for handball, and I think the referee has given Leicester City a free kick. It hit Fass, hit the goalkeeper, came out to Lewis Potter, must have hit his arm before going into the net, and the goal is ruled out. And so, off the arm of Lewis Potter, certainly handball, though VAR is checking it to confirm. It is just 3-0 to Brentford.
Yes, and correct decision. It's gone directly from his arm to the goal, and that's what the law says. How easily were Leicester opened up there into the box, ball whipped across, Belfast very nearly an own goal. You know, it's horrible, those balls in behind, and fair play to him for at least going for it, not leaving it, but could easily have been an own goal. Hermansen makes a save and it comes off Lewis Potter's arm.
Bouncing ball towards Visser, Fass gets in front of him. Leicester fans are venting their fury now from the stands. We are 2.5 minutes through. 4 added at the end of the first half. Ruud van Nistelrooy, a lone figure in his technical area. That must be a lonely place, the Leicester manager's dugout at the moment. Ndidi, 3-0 to Brentford in the first half. Ball out to the right-hand side from Ndidi to find Koulibaly. Can't blame the Leicester fans for their reaction at all. They were very much with the team in the early stages, I should say. Fast with a crossfield ball that is overhit. Out of play for a throw to Brentford in the right-back area. And Aya will come across to take it. How difficult a team talk will this be, Scott, for Van Nistelrooy?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's talking now to his staff, and I think he has to make changes. You know, defensively, he has to make one, if not two changes. I think going forward, make one as well. He has to be seen to be proactive to trying to change something. They come out in the second half with the same 11, then you know, this could be 4-5-6.
Keen Lewis Potter shimmying infield from the left-hand side for Brentford. Good crossfield ball with his right foot. Well headed away by Christensen on the stretch.
And what he'll be saying is, this second half now is about character. Everyone's waiting for you to absolutely capitulate if you haven't already. So are you going to somehow bring it back into it? Maybe make it a 3-1, maybe even a 3-2. Just worry about that first goal first. But actually worry about just passing. Pass to each other and defend, communicate. You know, it's just far too easy how they're opened up after the first 5-10 minutes. It's been absolutely shocking.
There may be more trouble here. Long throw into the area from Sharda towards Collins. Only half-headed away. Miscue by De Cordova-Reid. Then a flick by Vardy. And the boos say it all as the half-time whistle goes. Straight down the tunnel for Ruud van Nistelrooy. Rarely has any Premier League defence looked as easy to create against as this desperate beleaguered Leicester City back four. They've now conceded 58 times in the league season so far, heading for 10 defeats in their last 11 home and away, and 6 successive home league defeats for the first time in their history. For Brentford, a much more positive outlook. They are heading for 4 straight away league victories. They are furthering their European ambitions, but the simplest of goals for Visser to open the scoring, and Burmo to curl in the second, and Norgard unmarked to head home the third at the back post. Many Leicester fans have already seen enough, and it could be worse to come. At the break, Leicester 0, Brentford 3.
That is the kind of first half performance that gets a manager the sack, and Ruud van Nistelrooy should be very, very worried indeed. His side defended like a lower league side, attacked like a lower league side, and they would have been dispatched by most championship sides the way they've played tonight. If I said they played like a championship side in that first half, I would have insulted the entire second tier. Absolute disgrace. And I mean, the first 15 or so minutes, I'll give them credit because they came out with some positivity, some optimism. But as soon as they conceded a chance at goal, well, the dominoes fell after that point in time. It was horrific. Leicester City failing to score in their past 5 home games. It's already game over here tonight. And the supporters that have walked out of the King Power already are completely vindicated. Scott Minto, just how bad was that?
Very bad. In terms of defensively, absolutely shocking, and I totally agree with you. I don't 100% agree with you with Leicester going forward. Listen, they haven't scored, obviously, but they've had more ball possession than Brentford. They've had 5 goal attempts to 6 and 3 shots on target to 3 as well. Brentford have been absolutely clinical, but they've controlled the game both with and without the ball. I think Jamie Vardy has looked lively. I think El Khanous has tried to get on the ball, but De Cordova-Reid and Jordan Ayew not been involved in the game at all. But Hugh, honestly, from a defensive point of view, I do agree with you about an insult to the second tier. I mean, at best, they are a championship defence. When you concede goals like that, 1, 2 and 3, and that third one being so simple, they're going down. I mean, we heard from Jason earlier before the game saying, no, they're down, and you were right to say, but there's only 2 points difference. I'm sorry, on this performance, there's no way they're going to stay up.
Yeah, we both said, didn't we, during the break, in the build-up to the game, we both feel Wolves have a little bit more about them and will probably pull away from Leicester City. But given the league position, you can't obviously give up on it.
No.
Tonight, at times, Leicester City, that defence has given up, and I completely agree with you. The ease, unchallenged. We're not talking about unchallenged in and around the penalty box. We're talking about unchallenged through the attack, at the other end of the pitch, through the midfield, into their defence. Genuinely, at times, this game has looked like when the senior team get called over by the under-18s for a little bit of a training match in the training ground, and the top players from the Premier League are curling it in, doing whatever they want. The under-18s are a little bit shy because big stars have come over to train with them. They don't look like they belong on the same pitch at times here. Brentford, let's give credit to them. How good have they been, Scott?
No, Brentford have been excellent. Again, the first 5-10 minutes, I think Leicester started really well. And we talked about when you're down there and lacking in confidence, but you've started well. You have to score at that particular moment. They didn't. Jamie Vardy had one chance, maybe two chances around that time, but he made it himself. But then Brentford started to take control. And the way they were sort of just playing the ball out from the back, I've talked about how they've evolved. Thomas Frank, what an intelligent guy as well as an intelligent manager. Speaks really well, but an excellent coach. Knew what he had to do when he first got Brentford into the Premier League and needed to go a little bit long and, long throw-ins at time. And, if we go 5 at the back against the big boys, don't be afraid to do that. But they have definitely evolved going forward. They're playing the ball out from the back. They're going from left to right. Flecken looks comfortable in doing so. Aya looks like Cafu running down the right-hand side. Lewis Potter, to be fair to him, has not done as much, but looks as if he's just playing in second gear. But then you've also got the balls over the top, so they know when to play short, they know when to go long and play the ball over the top. And the Leicester City defence are just absolutely nowhere. But big credit to everybody from back to front for Brentford.
Fans were walking out at 2-0. They were certainly walking out at 3-0. That sends a huge message to the board at any football club. Is this second half now about Ruud van Nistelrooy trying to save his job as Leicester City manager?
No, I think that's harsh. I don't see how almost any manager can come in to this situation, what's happened to the last couple of seasons, and come in at the point he has at this season and turn things around. Look, again, I talk about he has to make changes from a starting 11. He has to make changes now. He can't send the same 11 out for the second half. But at the same time, Hugh, when you look at this defending, he can't do anything about that. Christensen, don't allow Mbeumo to come inside, open up the goal on your better foot. You have to show outside, even if you exaggerate, and even if you get beaten, he's got to cross it, and then your centre halves have got the chance to get into a position to defend that. It's a simple goal. The free kick for the third, it's a simple goal. There's only so much Ruud van Nistelrooy can do, but in terms of what he can do controlling the controllables, he's certainly not doing that, and the questions can definitely be asked at him. I think it'd be too harsh to say he should be losing his job anytime.
I'm not saying he should be losing his job, but I'm saying if it gets worse in the second half, and we see a replication of what we saw during the first 45 minutes,
what are you saying then?
Don't be surprised if this club acts, because when fans start walking out in the first half of games and you're looking at losing money on a match day, believe me, it's worth making a change.
Who do you bring in?
Well, that's another question. We'll talk about that when that happens, if that happens.
Yeah, listen,
but ultimately, the pressure will ramp up on Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Of course it will. The pressure's there already, especially when you're down there. But what does that mean? Pressure as in he's going to lose his job, or just pressure as in you've lost another game?
Pressure as in there's a high chance he loses his job. Absolutely, that's what I think. And I think this football club has made changes where we didn't expect it in the start of this season, and maybe they're regretting that change now.
I don't think almost anyone could come in and keep this side up, and we have to talk about it if that's the case. And obviously we haven't really got the data in terms of maybe some European managers or whoever could come in. You have to, if you're going to get rid of Ruud van Nistelrooy, you have to have a better replacement.
Okay.
That's my opinion anyway.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Scott Minto,
sure.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll be back for the second half very, very soon. Let's get the half-time odds on Talksport next with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Get money back as a free bet up to £10 if one leg of your Football 5 Plus acca lets you down. Pre-match straight line accas only. Odds are 3-1 or greater. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Well, it's currently Leicester City 0, Brentford 3. For the latest odds, head to Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Leicester at 50-1 to come from 3 down and win the game. The draw at 22-1, Brentford 1-100 on, as you might expect. So take a look at the next goal scorer odds market. Jamie Vardy had a few shots, forced a couple of saves. He's 5-1 to score next. Kevin Schade to join Mbeumo and Visser on the score sheet tonight is 15-2. And for a player to be sent off, that was 9-4. It's been enhanced to 5-2. Those are the latest odds with Ladbrokes. It's 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Supercharge your odds with our Odds Boost button. Selected markets applies to first £50 of stake. Terms apply. 18+. Gambleaware.org.
Well, over on Talksport 2 tonight, it is currently Burnley 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0 at half-time. But this is how the goal sounded.
Edwards is there, looking to cut infield onto that left foot of his lovely poke ball through, because Cullen continued his run, gives it back to Edwards in the box. Brilliant from Edwards. Edwards, what a goal that is for Burnley and for Marcus Edwards.
Yeah, Marcus Edwards with a lovely goal, and that would mean that Burnley closed the gap on second place Sheffield United to 70 points. They would be 4 points away from the leaders, Leeds United. We'll see if they can hold on live on Talksport 2 with the second half coming up very shortly indeed. They're already into the second half. Let's find out from Lawrence Moore how Bristol City are getting on. Oh, excuse me, let's go to Charlotte Richardson next. Excuse me, the Lionesses in action against Portugal.
And it's still Portugal 0, England 1. The rain is pouring in the Algarve. The goals are not. Alessia Russo's first half tap-in is still the difference. The Lionesses dominating, just lacking a cutthroat edge in front of goal, and perhaps a little bit of quality in terms of decision-making as well. We've seen Lucy Bronze come off for the England Lionesses at half-time. She produced a brilliant assist for England's goals. Fingers crossed that's nothing to do with injury and perhaps just the England manager making a couple of rotations while she can. But it is a slender advantage England have. Portugal 0, England 1.
Tommy Conway's goal, still the difference between Middlesbrough and Bristol City. We'll update you on the latest from there very shortly indeed. Lots still to come this evening on game night. As it stands, Brentford moving into the top 10. It's been an absolute breeze for the visitors at the King Power at the break. Leicester City 0, Brentford 3.
Game night on Talksport with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games, available with no contract on now. 18+, stream via internet, terms apply.
Want a day off deciding what to eat? Sit back, relax, and let us do the thinking for you. And the cooking, and the cleaning. From salmon fillet Mondays to fish and chips Fridays. IKEA family members can try a different £3 dish of the day every weekday in store. IKEA, the wonderful everyday. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Find out more at ikea.co.uk.
The season is shaping up, and whether they're going for glory or going down, it's all to play for. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out Goals! With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals! And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be goals! Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in the Sun.
At Betfair, we're about finding different ways to play. Like with our 90-minute guarantee. We've all been there. The clock ticks over into 90 minutes, and then a speculative cross into the box ricochets off a knee and goes in, ruining your bet. But with Betfair's 90-minute guarantee, if your bet is winning at 90 minutes or full time, we pay out. Betfair. Play different.
Applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Sportsbook exclusive. Terms and conditions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. And drink up. Village Hotels. 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
At Screwfix, we've locked the prices on everyday van essentials. Like WD-40 at £6.98, a 100-pack of Easy Fix wall plugs at 94p, and a 200-pack of Gold Screw multi-purpose screws at £2.69. We've got your back with prices you can rely on the products you use the most. In stock and ready to go, saving you the hassle of shopping around. Order on the app and collect in-store today. Prices valid until at least 6th of April. Visit screwfix.com for T's and C's. Delivery charges and restrictions apply.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a treehouse in the garden.
I'm living my perfect childhood.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
The new £5 meal deal from McDonald's. Get a cheeseburger or mayo chicken, medium fries, 4 McNuggets and a medium soft drink for guess what? That's right, £5. It's not called the £5 meal deal for nothing. From 11 a.m. Not available on delivery. Carbonated soft drink upgrade fees apply. Participating restaurants subject to availability.
Game night on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
Exclusive commentary of massive Friday night games.
And it's gone in! Would you believe it?
The biggest and best football on the radio. Game night on Talksport.
Square to Damsgaard in a very tight area. Lovely thing to dink it down the middle towards Visser, who scored in off the post. He made the run out of nowhere. Leicester split apart down the middle, and Visser turns it in off the post. Brentford win it back again. Norgard, the number 6, pushes it on to Damsgaard, who's looking threatening every time he gets the ball. Out wide to Mpermo, inside the area, angle against him. Left-footed Kana picks up the corner, makes it 2. Leicester falling apart yet again in the Premier League, and now the boos ring around the King Power Stadium. Burma's left-footed free kick, floated to Norgard, header in, 3-0. Easy as you like. Brentford are absolutely cruising, and Leicester have capitulated in this first half.
The game's done. They're not coming back from this, and this could get messy if it's not already.
Well, Leicester City have been an embarrassment defensively this evening, utterly shambolic. Visser and Mbumo, Norgard accepting the freedom of the city to put Brentford well on their way to a 4th straight Premier League away win for the first time in their history. Changes to tell you about for both teams very shortly, but let's check in on the Championship action at Ashton Gate very quickly with Talksport's Lawrence Mora.
Yeah, Bristol City 0, Middlesbrough 1. Tommy Conway's goal. Still the difference between these sides, but it's the home team who are throwing everything at it in the second half to get that equaliser. Borough's defence, though, holding firm. Morris's flying block on Twine when he was just 6 yards out, epitomising the effort that they're putting in right now. After a host of subs and 25 minutes to go, it remains Bristol City 0, Middlesbrough 1.
About to get underway for the second half at the King Power. I'll leave you with the former Chelsea and West Ham defender Scott Minto and Talksport's Joe Shannon.
And so the expected Leicester changes have materialised. 2 of them, Yannick Vestergaard and Steffi Mavididi, have come on. Koulibaly and Di Cordova-Reid have gone off. Many of those Leicester 11 could have been substituted. I wonder whether the fact that Koulibaly and Di Cordova-Reid were both on yellow cards maybe also swayed Ruud van Nistelrooy. As the game resumes, Leicester look long down the middle for Ayew. His flick towards Vardy, but it's evaded Vardy and it's trickled through to the goalkeeper. Flecken. Leicester 0, Brentford 3. Brentford have made a change as well. Johor Yarmoliuk into the midfield in place of the scorer of the 3rd goal, Norgard, who hopefully isn't as a result of the injury that he took earlier in the first half after that challenge on him by Koulibaly. 3 such simple goals scored by Brentford tonight. They're heading up to 10th in the Premier League, and Leicester continue to falter in their attempts to escape the relegation zone. They're going to remain 2 points from safety unless something remarkable happens. Looking around the ground for the second half, there are far fewer filled seats than there were at kick-off. Far more empty blue seats around the King Power Stadium for the start of the second half. Leicester playing from left to right, all in royal blue. Brentford playing from right to left in the blue and white striped shirts, black shorts and black socks. And the game feels all but done at this point. Christensen with a left-footed ball in, steered away by Collins. On the stretch, it's a Leicester corner. And Scott Minto, I wonder what the conversation in the Brentford dressing room was like at half-time.
Yeah, by the way, are you saying that the Leicester fans are still eating their pies and beers?
Well, okay. Maybe they're really, really good. In by Christensen, left-footed after the corner was taken only as far as Mavididi. Down by the dead ball line, that's a lovely lofted cross headed away by Collins. Drops down to Christensen to flick it on. Little touch by Wout Faes and hammered away by Yarmoliuk.
Look, I think what Thomas Frank would have been saying, it wouldn't necessarily be saying go for 6 or whatever, but he's saying don't let off. Don't take the foot off the gas, because if you do, they can come back into it and you never know what can happen. So just stay 100% on it, which is what they're trying to do right now.
I'll remind you of the two sides in just a moment, but here come Brentford looking for a fourth. Damsgaard whips in the cross. Schade at the back post, can't reach it under the challenge of Okoli. It has dropped for Lewis Potter near side the left wing for Brentford. Back to Yarmoliuk and now Janelt towards Pinnock. Midway inside Leicester City territory. Such a chastening first half for Leicester and for their embattled manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy, as the ball goes out of play. I wonder what you can say to a team at half-time as a manager in terms of just trying to give them some confidence, Scott.
Well, you tell them it's about character now. The fans who are still here still expect you to play for the badge. And look, don't think about necessarily winning the game, but just thinking about winning your battles in the second half and then see what happens. You talked about possible miracles, and trust me, it would be a miracle if Leicester were able to get a draw, let alone a win, but you have to show it's all about character now. And I did say to Hugh at half-time that there's no way that he can play the same 11 in the second half, so he had to make changes. Koulibaly coming off, Okoli's gone towards a right back now, but he's on a yellow card as well, so he still needs to be careful. Still think there's something about Buonanotte that he's not happy with, so not surprised to see perhaps Dekodova-Reid come off and Mavididi come on.
Leicester's next game away at West Ham next Thursday night live on Talksport. Every single Premier League game, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, and there are 10 of them, is live with us. Talksport, Talksport 2, Talk Radio, or on our app. Make sure you download the app. It's especially useful next week. And swipe between all of our stations at your leisure. Header away by Vestergaard for Leicester, who have Hermansen in goal. Okoli, Vestergaard, Fass and Christensen, and Didi and Soumare, Mavididi, El Khanous and Ayew behind Vardy, who did have two good early chances in the game, and Leicester were very bright for the first 10-15 minutes, but ever since Brentford's 17th minute opener, they have cruised. Brentford with Damsgaard looking for Visser, right corner of the penalty area. Vestergaard slides in just enough on the challenge to divert the ball away. Brentford have Flecken in goal, Ayer, Collins, Pinnock and Lewis Potter, Yarmoliuk and Janelt, and Burmo, Damsgaard and Schade behind Visser up front. There's a throw to Leicester on the halfway line, near side of the field. Brentford heading for 4 successive away league victories for the first time since 2011, back in their League One days. Always worth a reminder of just how far Brentford have come and the tremendous work that everybody at the club has done to get them in that position. Leicester with goalkeeper Hermansen now, all in green, chips the ball up to the halfway line, left-footed. Ayer there to win the first contact for Brentford. It's come back to El Khanous, number 11 for Leicester, over the halfway line to the run of Christensen, sprints forward towards the corner of the penalty area. He's got support on the overlap through Mavididi with a good ball. Vardy's looping header, and that's just wide of goal. The flag has gone up on the near side, but that does get some applause from the Leicester fans. There are notable gaps in the stand. Quite a few Leicester supporters have not come back for the second 45, but there is certainly applause for Buonanotte, who's going through quite a vigorous warm-up on the near side touchline. I wonder whether Ruud van Nistelrooy will think to bring him on. 5.5 minutes into the second half on Talksport. Game feels over as a contest. Leicester 0, Brentford 3, and here's Scott Minter.
Yeah, the game may be over, but the goals probably aren't. I mean, what I would say at the start of the second half, Leicester have tried to be as positive as possible, created a couple of half chances, Jamie Vardy being offside there, but at least they try to get forward, put the ball in the box. And I always think when you see the start of a game, especially start of the first half, that's what the manager wants his team to do, and then it kind of develops into, right, just which is the better side. And I think that's what we've seen here. As much as I could talk about, I wanted Buonanotte to start, and I'm sure he will come on at some point. The team that they set up and how they started, that's what Ruud van Nistelrooy wanted in the first 10 minutes, but they're just not good enough to keep it going. But to be 3-0 down the way they defended in that first half is criminal.
And this placed pass from Fass out of play this time, as if to illustrate the lack of confidence in the Leicester ranks. Brentford go back to the halfway line, leading by 3-0, looking for their first league win at Leicester since 1953, 72 years ago. And Burma on the halfway line for them. Reverse ball is on. High diagonal out to Lewis Potter. Acres of space on the near side of left. Brentford look really elegant coming forward tonight. Lewis Potter darts infield. He's blocked off by Ndidi, and then Sumare with a touch forward to Vardy. Back to Ndidi, now works it wide to Ayew on the halfway line. Bristol City 0, Middlesbrough 1. The latest score in the Championship. Burnley 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Live over on Talksport 2 tonight. England's women lead in Portugal by a goal to 0. And on the left for Leicester, the number 10 Mavididi with another promising run down that far side, but the cross is overhit this time left-footed. Although that said, I think the Leicester fans are upset that nobody in Royal Blue was really there to make contact. What they've got to start doing at home, first of all, is finding the net again. But Brentford are on the attack. 3 against 2 here. And Burmo prods the ball down the middle, cleared away by a retreating Vestergaard. 6'7", Vestergaard, and now Damsgaard to the corner of the penalty area for Brentford. His immediate left is Schade, wearing number 7. Schade, left corner of the penalty area, forced towards the touchline by Vestergaard, who then hacks him down with a crude challenge from behind. And that is a Brentford free kick. Important goal in the Championship at Ashton Gate. Which way, Lawrence Mora?
The equaliser, Bristol City 1, Middlesbrough 1. George Earthy off the bench and tapping home from 6 yards out after Sykes had returned the ball from the left. Bristol City been pushing hard for it. It's finally come. Bristol City 1, Middlesbrough 1.
And if Bristol City were to go on and get a winner, then they would go into the Championship playoff places. We'll keep you right up to date with Lawrence for all the goals as they go in there. Now, Leicester readying Buonanotte with the game feeling all but lost. 3-0 to Brentford, and the Brentford fans who've travelled in numbers up the M1 on their feet on the far side of the field, singing loudly, arms outstretched up into the air. You cannot understate yet again the job that Thomas Frank has done this season at the helm of Brentford, who are at home to Everton next Wednesday, live on the Talksport app. Got a free kick which Burma will take, and set pieces have looked really troubling again for Leicester City this evening. And Burma stands over the ball. It's level with the edge of the 18-yard area. Here he comes, left-footed, just pumps that into the penalty area, hit it flat like a sort of knuckleball. Turned away by a Coley, but I think the flag was up anyway, Scott.
It was a great ball in, wasn't it? That's a good description. Knuckleball, yes. Yeah. It was just whipped in there. Still don't know how he quite did it. You know, Ronaldo used to take those free kicks and dipping in. It was a horrible ball to be put in. Listen to the crowd now.
Well, I think as Buonanotte comes on, the loud cheers of approval from the Leicester fans. I don't think they're cheers for Ayew coming off,
no, but
not. I think the Leicester fans are making a point to Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Absolutely.
Get Buonanotte on, and the manager has done that 10 minutes into the second half, but that I think is an illustration at the moment of the disconnect between the manager and the supporters. Leicester down the middle towards Buonanotte, immediately trying to race onto the ball in the area. He almost got the wrong side of the defender and then did trip Lewis Potter. It'll be a free kick to Brentford.
Yeah, but it's almost immediately the energy he gives. And now you've got the crowd back on side. Even though you're 3-0 down, the ball was played behind him, and yet he still didn't give up. I mean, Lewis Potter actually does really well. It's the slightest of touches, and very clever defending, actually, getting that touch and going down. More often than not, you will get the foul, but Buonanotte already looking like he wanted to try and do something and be positive.
And a season-long loan from Brighton. And there were Leicester fans before the game saying that there should have been more than one change to the starting 11 tonight. There have been 3 substitutions since half-time. Brentford have scored 3 times under the floodlights at the King Power. Flecken, the goalkeeper, has it. He's played it to Collins, and now quick ball forward to Yarmoliuk, who looks very neat and tidy. Little ball chipped square, right to left to find Pinnock. Tall and slender, the centre half. Now Damsgaard pokes it down the left to Coley, there to steer it up to the halfway line and away from immediate danger for now for Leicester City. But Brentford will come again with Damsgaard in their red and white shirts. Now Vitali Janelt squaring infield to Yarmoliuk. Leicester 0, Brentford 3 on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes. If you've got a plan, they've got a van. Damsgaard skips into the penalty area, and he's tried to whip it across left-footed from the dead ball line. That is a corner to Brentford.
He's done well, hasn't he, Damsgaard? You know, he looks like physically he's not quite good enough for the Premier League, and actually at times he hasn't been, but this season he's been absolutely sensational. We talked about Sharda stepping up. Visser, the player that he is. Brian Mbeumo, the player he is. Now Damsgaard. It's a really potent front four.
He's on a hat-trick of assists, Damsgaard, as he takes the corner short to Janel, left corner of the penalty area. Back to Damsgaard, rather balloon the ball to the back post. Visser then tries to stand it up, and it's... Well, I thought that had hit Christensen and gone behind, but it must have hit Visser's foot and flown right over the top of it behind him and away for a goal kick to Leicester City. There is something of a respite for Leicester in the second half, but the body language of the Leicester players, it just suggests they're trying to get through it. There's not a great deal of belief in this Leicester team, and Brentford are still looking relatively sharp. Of course, a clean sheet will be on their minds. They don't keep too many in the Premier League. Vardy caught by Collins. Free kick to Leicester just forward of the centre circle, just to the right edge of it as we look at it. And as Leicester have to wait while Vardy slowly gets to his feet, let's get news of a goal in the Women's Nations League. Charlotte Richardson.
It's all square. Portugal 1, England 1. Kika Nazare, the Portuguese star, coming off of the bench to score a sublime solo goal. It was a goal. It was an equaliser that had been coming. Second half, England really failing to inspire, and now they have to try and gain the lead again. Portugal 1, England 1.
We'll have coverage of Serena Wiegmann's Lionesses at this summer's Euros. Buonanotte pumps the ball into the penalty area from the Leicester free kick. There was a foul by Christensen on Sharda, I think, well spotted by the referee, and a free kick to Brentford away to the right-hand side as we head towards the hour mark. And time is just petering out in this game, it feels like, already. It feels like a procession for Brentford at this point, but important is it, Scott, for Ruud van Nistelrooy that he gets some kind of reaction?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, he has to a point, but the game's done and dusted. For Brentford, it's all about game management now. And Thomas Frank will be thinking, right, who do we think was struggling a little bit coming into this game? We have to try and maybe make changes, keep them fresh. I think that's a really important thing to do. We know, of course, there's midweek games coming up. So Brentford have got Everton at home. That won't be easy. But absolutely, from Ruud van Nistelrooy's point of view, even if it gets to 3-1 and finishes like that, then, well, still won't stop them being criticised.
Great play by Sharda to nutmeg a Coley and dart beyond two blue shirts, but then a poor ball in with the final touch left-footed that is gathered by Hermansen. He looks in the mood for goals tonight. Kevin Sharda, hat-trick in the reverse fixture, and did a lot of the hard work there, but the ball in was just mishit.
And after that hat-trick in the last game and the way that Leicester are defending now, he'd be really disappointed if he doesn't get on the score sheet. So again, we talk about how it's perhaps game management for Brentford, but there'll be players out there be thinking, I want to score here tonight.
Yep, there is plenty of incentive for the Brentford players. And Scott mentioned the midweek games to come. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week, all live on the Talksport network. Tomorrow lunchtime, Everton against Manchester United here on Talksport in the Premier League. Ipswich against Tottenham on Talksport 2 at 3 o'clock. That could be very interesting. I saw Ipswich at Aston Villa last week and they were excellent. Ipswich, of course, Leicester's rivals, among their rivals in the relegation fight, and Leicester will only be 2 points adrift, but of course everybody else around them will have a game in hand.
I think it depends, of course, on how Wolves and Ipswich pick up points, but I think we'll see at the end of the season Leicester being second bottom. Well, obviously Southampton are where they are, they're down. I don't see them getting anywhere near even probably the points that Leicester are already on. But I do feel Leicester are the second worst team in the Premier League.
Second bottom is where they are at the moment. 19th in the Premier League table. Burnley 2, Sheffield Wednesday 0. He's the latest score in the Championship. Burnley closing the gap on the top two to 2 points. Buonanotte for Leicester. He's run 30 yards. He's poked it onto Vardy. Angled tight in the area. Across came Collins. Did enough with the challenge to steer it away from Vardy. Buonanotte has raced onto the field of play. Continued that vein of form on the ball. He looks a man with a point to prove. Brentford counter. Damsgaard diagonal to Mbeumo. 10 yards from the edge of the box. Onto the left foot. This is where he's dangerous. He's deflected into the path of Christopher Ayer, who's forward on the edge of the box. Now Wisser delivers in the cross. Dinked in high towards Mbeumo. Only half away. Lewis Potter at the back post. Plays it back. Damsgaard crosses and away by Yannick Vestergaard this time. For Leicester, stays 3-0 to Brentford.
Why is Lewis Potter at the far post on his free there just moved his body to the side on his left foot and tried to get a volley in? Instead he stayed where he was, took a touch and then just played it back. Again, if I'm a left back playing for Brentford today, or full back, I'm thinking I can get on the score sheet tonight.
Well, more defensive mishaps for Leicester. This time they get away with it as the rain arrives at the King Power Stadium. That Burnley goal scorer, by the way, scored the second against Sheffield Wednesday, was Josh Brownhill. As Sharda controls for Brentford, a slip by Fast. Sharda's smuggled the ball out to the left and he's turning away from McCauley and he's wriggled into the area. He steered it square to Damsgaard, tried to turn it away from the onrushing Soumare, couldn't get the angle for the shot. Damsgaard again, edge of the D, plays it into Mbermo in the area, tries to poke it onto Visser. Leicester, two players nearly get in front of each other. They clear it away as far as Jamie Vardy, and that Brentford attack comes to an end for now. Now Buonanotte dribbling into the centre circle and racing forward into Brentford territory, but then the pass is overhit towards Jamie Vardy. It's through to Flecken. More bright work from Buonanotte, who's now even being applauded by Vardy.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good play from Leicester actually going forward. And Buonanotte's just added that bit of positivity, hasn't he? The pace. You know, not just pass or a hope for a ball. It was a bad ball in the end, but Buonanotte to Vardy, for me, looks... How many times do I have to say it? It just looks the right combination for Leicester. We all think they're going down, but they are going to somehow pick up points. Again, I go back to their fixture list. West Ham away on Thursday, yes. Chelsea away, United at home, City away, Newcastle at home, Brighton away. Could be done and dusted by then, but if they can somehow stay in, you just never know. But no, I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Wilfred Ndidi has given the ball away. Brentford have won it back. Midway inside Leicester territory. Another big goal in the Championship at Bristol City. Lawrence Mora.
They've turned it around. Bristol City 2, Middlesbrough 1. George Erthy at the double. A free kick from Scott Twine. 20 yards out. Cannoned off the bar. And there was Erthy to tap it into an empty net. Roof off at Ashton Gate. Bristol City 2, Middlesbrough 1.
What a great run they're on, Bristol City. Heading into the playoff places. And it looks like another defeat for Michael Carrick, who's under pressure at Middlesbrough in that division. We've got Sunderland against Hull live tomorrow lunchtime on Talksport 2, and the big one on Monday night, Sheffield United against Leeds. That's the clash of the top two. Visser for Brentford, edge of the D, tries to flick it over the top, but he's found Damsgaard in the area, headed away by a Coley for Leicester. Even with the hopeful balls into the box for Brentford, Leicester look all at sea defensively tonight. 3-0 to Brentford, and Buonanotte went down as if caught by a high boot. Referee not interested. Let's Leicester continue with possession. Amazingly, Buonanotte is back on his feet as Leicester counter up the middle with El Canouse. Wide to Buonanotte. Right edge of the penalty area. Only Vardy in the middle and support. Buonanotte tries to go for goal and it's charged down by Collins. Now the loose ball has reached Soumare, edge of the D. And Wilfred Ndidi out to the right, and a Coley. He looks up, thinks about a cross right-footed, then thinks better of it. Infield to Ndidi again. 20 minutes into the second half. Leicester have not completely folded, but that is a poor ball by El Canouse. Very strange. Straight to the goalkeeper Flecken when he had a simple square ball to Mabedini out to his left.
Do you know what? When you're lacking in confidence, you think you've got less time than actually what you had. There was no one around him. And he just took a touch, then played a quick pass, and just no one was there. It's a great example of a player who's just completely lacking in confidence right now.
We'd love to hear from you tonight, Leicester fans and Brentford fans, on the Sports Bar Weekender after the game. 03717 223344, the number to call as Brentford nearly give it away inside their own penalty area. Flecken's pass forward to JanElt, but he escapes that, and the Brentford goalkeeper's got it again. Yeah, 03717 223344 to have your say on national radio, all ahead of another busy afternoon of live commentaries and around the grounds on Talksport with Adrian Durham from 2:30 to come tomorrow. Live boxing on the station as well tomorrow night from Riyadh, Beterbiev and Bivol, that highly anticipated rematch, and that'll also be on our boxing YouTube channel. A Coley for Leicester midway inside the Brentford half. A Coley all in Leicester blue, in field to Soumare, back to Buonanotte, and now a square pass to Ndidi forward of the centre circle. Quick ball through the gap to Christensen, about 20 yards in field from the left, and now in a dead central position. Ndidi, with Brentford, have now got everybody back behind the ball, and Ndidi's given it straight to Mikael Damsgaard. Sharda is then tripped by Ndidi. It's a free kick. Would there have been any great difference in the game tonight. Scott had Jamie Vardy's run in the first 5 minutes, ended up with him scoring a goal. Do you think that might have really lifted Leicester and changed things a bit?
Well, it definitely would have lifted them. I think the first goal is always so important, and Leicester just don't get it often enough. But I don't think so. I think they're that bad defensively. I think this Brentford side, how they're playing at the moment, especially away from home. 3 wins on the spin on the road, we mustn't forget. And after a terrible start to the season playing away, and people are saying why, but if you look at the teams they played, there were much easier fixtures at home than they were away, so at some point it was always going to change. Their first 7 wins all came at home. The last 3 have all come away. I'm not surprised, really. This is a really well-drilled side.
Flecken's ball over the top, down the Brentford right, has reached Mbeumo, right corner of the area, step overs beyond Christensen, and he's flashed the shot in at the near post, and it's taken a deflection and gone behind. Buonanotte, by the way, has been yellow carded after a little tangle with Lewis Potter. It is a Brentford corner.
But well done, Christensen, showing outside. Even if he's able to get past him, which he didn't there, to be fair to him, he's not allowing him to come inside, open up the goal on his better foot. Show him outside.
Really heavy rain all of a sudden, tumbling down from up above as we reach the final quarter of the game on Talksport. Leicester 0, Brentford 3. Corner from Mbeumo, taken short to the right corner of the box, and Damsgaard in front of the Brentford fans. Mbeumo then whips it in, touch from the head of Lewis Potter, I think, turned away by the goalkeeper. Now Pinnock on the rebound, lashes it into the side netting, and it has gone behind for another corner to Brentford, this time on the near side of the field, and they very nearly made it 4.
Yeah, good save that. First time ball in. It's a great ball in, it really is, and all it needs is a flick. Keeper can't come out, and he stays on his line, reacts really well to that. Wonderful ball in, great flick. Yeah, could easily have been 4.
It was actually Yarmoliuk who got the flick in at goal. Hermansen with a good save to tip it away. Keep the score down for Leicester. Burnley 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0 in the Championship. Burnley closing the gap on those top 2. Sheffield United and Leeds, the leaders, who meet on Monday night on Talksport 2. We've also got Watford against Luton in this weekend. That's a big derby game, and Luton are desperate to get away from the relegation zone. Scott will be there. He's a busy man, Scott Minto.
You got the weekend off, have you?
I do. As Damsgaard takes the corner. Well, he's going to have to wait, in fact. Shada's ended up right in the back of the net there, Scott. He's not just ended up falling over on the goal line. He's actually hit the back of the net.
Well, he wants to hear you say that, but not quite in that way.
That's true. Well, maybe he will. I mean, he's standing as close to the goal as it's possible to be without being in it at the moment. He's on the goal line in front of Hermansen. Another variation on the set piece for Brentford, 20 to go. In by Damsgaard, headed away. It'll drop to Mbeumo on the edge of the D on the half volley, and that's blocked by Vestergaard. Loops up into the air. Rain getting heavier all the time. You might even be able to hear it hammering down on the roof. Leicester 0, Brentford 3. Ayers prodded the ball left. Good control by Damsgaard. Very sharp. Weaves it onto his right foot. Cross is headed away by Fass. That'll drop down now to Ethan Pinnock. And now Yarmoliuk out to the left-hand side, and Lewis Potter. Quickly forward now to Damsgaard again. Credit to Brentford for the way that they've tried to maintain their intensity. And Damsgaard is easily passed to Coley, and it's headed away by Vestergaard this time at the near post. Fass rather, for another Brentford corner.
Brilliant play down the left-hand side. Damsgaard just bringing the Coley out. He's playing it right back in the second half with Koulibaly being off, but he's not comfortable being out there. Certainly if there's any one-on-one situation, just a little drop of the shoulder, and he went past him easily.
As if it could hardly get worse for the Leicester fans. Their team are 3-0 down, and some of them are getting absolutely drenched.
Yeah, heavens have opened, haven't they?
Having to retreat to the back of the stand. Damsgaard with a right-footed corner, punched away by Hermansen, decisive. He's knocked it a long way from goal. Lewis Potter nearly tackled by Mavididi, but it's been turned wide by Yarmoliuk to the right-hand side, and Visser, who skips away from 2 Leicester players, steers it across goal. A simple touch would have made it 4. In the end, the ball is rolled along the goal line and out of play for a throw to Leicester City as Brentford get ready to make a double change. Fabio Carvalho and Paris Magoma. Here comes Damsgaard. Scott, one of the most influential midfield players in the Premier League at the moment.
Indeed. He's made some assists this season, hasn't he? I think he's the highest for Brentford in the Premier League era in terms of it in a season, but he's been brilliant. He's been brilliant again tonight. Kevin Schade been really dangerous. And Visser and Mbeumo have just been Visser and Mbeumo. It's a really, really, really impressive Brentford side that perhaps we don't talk about them enough. The story obviously is with Leicester, but if you're a Brentford fan right now, you think of, it wasn't that long ago, they were in League One, let alone in the Championship. And now, I don't think they're going to make Europe. I think they're a little bit too far off. I think there's too many clubs to try and climb over. I'll tell you what, Thomas Frank is building something special here, and if you're a Brentford fan, it's a golden period for sure.
So Carvalho on for Damsgaard, and Paris Magoma, a former Spurs player, replaces Janelt, who's another important and often underrated player in the Brentford side. Magoma with just his 8th Brentford appearance. 17.5 minutes to go. The game was over at half-time, really, you felt. 3-0 to Brentford was the score. 3-0 it has remained, though Brentford have had a couple of chances to increase their lead. Bristol City 2, Middlesbrough 1, late in the game in the Championship at Ashton Gate. Bristol City heading up to 6th in the table. Lawrence will bring us full-time shortly, I'm sure. Burnley 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Portugal 1, the Lionesses 1. Brentford nearly win it back half the pitch. Pass clears away for Leicester. Everybody on the field of play absolutely soaked to the skin. It's really heavy rain as Ndidi is tripped by Yarmoliuk, and Leicester get a free kick just shy of halfway.
Yeah, and I talked about how for Thomas Frank at half-time he would have been saying, look, just keep the tempo up. He wouldn't have been bothered about scoring. He wouldn't want to concede, and that's what's happened. And then you're thinking about, OK, there's a midweek game coming up, make some substitutes. And I think it's a couple of really good substitutes. You know, Paris Magoma getting more time, and especially Fabio Carvalho as well, who, you know, we talked about how the front four of Brentford right now are very good. He must be frustrated. So it's a great opportunity for him. He'll be coming on the pitch and wanting to be doing something special and showing his manager that he should be in the starting 11, as difficult as that is right now.
Here's Buonanotte out on the near side, the Leicester right. Sports Bar Weekender follows us, remember. 03717 223344. Looking back on tonight and ahead to yet another great weekend of Premier League football and in the EFL as well. Buonanotte's ball up the inside right towards the run of El Khanous, who kept it in. Low ball from the dead ball line was hacked away by Pinnock. A fast square to Vestergaard for the centre circle. Now Mabedini. Back to Vestergaard again. He looks up. Feels such a long time since Leicester won that championship title under Enzo Maresca. And even a long time since Steve Cooper was sacked earlier this season. El Khanous looks for the run of Ndidi down the right. His cross is charged down by Yarmoliuk. And between him and Lewis Potter, they do enough to win it back for Brentford, and now Visser's got it midway inside his own half. He's so quick to tear forward, Johan Visser. And they want even more here to Brentford, and he's run 30-40 yards to the halfway line to hold up play. Back to Ethan Pinnock he goes.
Yeah, he needed brilliant burst of pace. He needed to lay it off because it got to the point where he's holding on the ball so much. When you're 3-0 down, trust me, as a defender, you're going to go straight through him. So you can't afford to take advantage here. Just keep passing, keep doing the right thing, and do not get injured.
Here is Lewis Potter on the halfway line for Brentford. Forward ball to Yarmoliuk. Less than 15 minutes of normal time to go now. Ruud van Nistelrooy has not really left the technical area in the second half. Not used to losing as a player, certainly not at this rate. It'll be 10 defeats and 11 in the Premier League for Leicester. Is there any solace he can take from the second half, maybe, Scott? The fact they haven't conceded more? Or am I just clutching at straws, maybe?
I repeat. No, not really, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously, the fact that they haven't conceded.
Brentford could be looking for another one here with Johan Visser. Left-footed effort across the face of goal, cleared away by Fass. Good work by Carvalho in the build-up. It was actually quite selfish from Visser because Mbeumo was all alone to his right.
Yeah, if he'd have known he was there, he should have passed it. But no, Brentford have taken the foot off the gas and yet still look like they could get a fourth.
Good work by El Khanous to rob Lewis Potter of possession, and he's prodded it forward to Sumare as the rain gets heavier yet again. No foul by Yarmoliuk in the centre circle. No, there was in the end. The referee has decided to pull the play back. Let's get full time in the Championship at Ashton Gate. Lawrence Mora.
All over. Bristol City 2, Middlesbrough 1. Liam Manning's side up into the playoff places, up to 6th, and banging on the door for the past few weeks, but they did it the hard way. They trailed at half-time 1-0 after Tommy Conway's first half goal. George Earthy equalised on 72 and then picked the winner on 82 as he tapped home from Scott Twine's free kick, which had hit the bar. Ecstatic scenes at Ashton Gate. It's all over and finished. Bristol City 2, Middlesbrough 1.
Well, Bristol City on a great run, and pressure on Michael Carrick. Leicester have made a change. Oliver Skipp for Ndidi in midfield. There are 13 minutes to go here. Full time in the Women's Nations League. Charlotte Richardson.
Portugal 1, England 1. A game of two halves sees the spoils shared. Alessia Russo's early opener reflected a strong 45, but concerning how England dropped off. Kika Nazare's fine solo goal drew things level. The Lionesses were under pressure. They managed to hold on for a point, far from the convincing start to the year that they would have wanted. But a point on the board in the Nations League. It's Portugal 1, England 1 at full time.
Leicester 0, Brentford 3 here. There were some appeals for handball from the Leicester fans as the ball hit Yarmoliuk's foot in the box, then bounced up onto his elbow. In the end, Leicester have got a free kick in the right wing position. We can give you the latest odds from Ladbrokes. 3-0 to Brentford. You can back Leicester to win at 100 to 1. Brentford to win at 1 to 500 on, or the draw at 40 to 1. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. The football carries on tomorrow lunchtime. Everton against Manchester United on Talksport. Alan Stubbs, former Everton captain, a guest on Weekend Sports Breakfast tomorrow morning. As Buonanotte whips in the free kick with real venom for Leicester. It's cleared away at the near post, and Soumare will see it back to Hermansen.
You know, sometimes when you hear 100 to 1, do you know what? It might just be worth £1. This is not worth £1.
Well, there's only 11 and a half minutes to go. Would be the comeback to end all comebacks in the Premier League,
certainly
probably. Buonanotte's reverse ball, chested down by Collins. He's got the confidence to do that, not just to clear it first time.
I think, you know, we've been talking about Leicester and how poor they are. They're a Championship side and they'll be playing Championship next season. And we talked about how good Brentford are going forward. We perhaps haven't talked enough about how good they are defensively. Now, they haven't had too much to do because this Leicester side is not great going forward. It's better than its defence. But I'm really impressed with every single player for Brentford right now. And again, Thomas Frank has amassed a squad, not just a team, that knows exactly what they're supposed to do.
As Christensen crosses from the Leicester left, headed away by Collins. It has come down to Buonanotte, whose shot is blocked. It'll roll back into the path of Christensen again. Another high cross, headed away by Pinnett. Now a Coley right edge of the penalty area. Leicester fans screaming for somebody to have a shot. It's been a long time since they saw a goal scored on this ground. El Kanouche delivers right-footed. That's another good ball in, and well dealt with by Collins this time. They haven't scored a goal at home in the Premier League since December the 8th, would you believe it? Now Skip with the orange boots has pinged a long ball straight out of play.
Got to be wearing black boots if you're going to do that. But no, Brentford have got defenders who could defend, first and foremost. They're also comfortable on the ball, but don't try and play out when it's not on. Talked about how they're evolving now, and they certainly are more than comfortable to play out from the back, but if it's not on, you know, just put it into midfield or chip it into the front players. So, you know, a good goalkeeper looks comfortable now with his feet. Defenders who can defend but also look comfortable but don't take risks. As Flecken's just playing it inside into the box. And then Leicester are trying to do the high press. Midfielders who I think are extremely underrated in the Premier League, and 4 forward-thinking players who, you know, outside the top 6 in terms of a group of 4, are one of the best that the Premier League can offer.
And they're showing it again tonight. Such a consistent side again this season. And Brentford, they've got the ball now with Collins midway inside his own half of the field. Finished 16th last season. That was a much tougher campaign, but it looks a bit more like an aberration this season. Lewis Potter for Brentford plays it back to Pinnett. We've got monitors in the commentary position. There was a shot of the very glum-looking Leicester director of football, John Rudkin, and lots more questions are going to be asked of him as this Leicester slump continues. He's sat somewhere to our right in the director's box, and meanwhile in the stands where the where the hardcore sit. Lots of Leicester fans have already made an early exit with 8 minutes to go. This is a Premier League game that is already over and has been a long way in advance of the final whistle. 3-0 Brentford.
From the 32nd minute. Would you say there's probably only about 50% left in the stand there of fans?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And certainly...
it's emptying all the time as well.
Yeah, with less than 10 minutes to go, you absolutely cannot blame them. And look, you can talk about Ruud van Nistelrooy being under pressure, and clearly he is, but what about John Rudkin? What about him?
Of course, there was the protest march that Leicester held against the hierarchy before the home game against Arsenal. There's going to be another change for Brentford here. Michael Coyote is going to get some game time. He's on loan from Fiorentina. And Leicester are going to bring on Conor Cody, who you'd think, when you hear about his impact on previous England camps, his leadership could be really important in these sorts of situations. But Coley's going off for Leicester, and I think he actually might be going off a little injured here. Akoli, he's limping away, so another disappointing thing to note for Ruud van Nistelrooy tonight. Cody for Akoli, and now Coyote on for Brentford. We're just waiting to see from the fourth official on the near side touchline whose number is up with 7 minutes left, and the number up is that of Christopher Ayer.
Well, that certainly makes sense with him being a right back, and I'll tell you what, I've seen him play in Serie A, and he's a very, very good player. Good defender, he's a great athlete, loves to get forward. So it's interesting to see how he gets on from now to the end of the season.
Scott Minto, former Chelsea defender, formerly of Benfica as well. But you didn't get rain like this very often.
Do you know what?
Games there.
We did at times in the winter. It rains more than you think.
Here come Brentford on the attack down there, right, overhit by Mbermo. Lots of applause for Ayer as he walks the long walk around the edge of the pitch. Applause by the Brentford fans. Sports Bar Weekend are coming next. 03717 223344. Everton Manchester United tomorrow on Talksport. That's at 12:30, and then at 3 o'clock on Talksport 2. Ipswich against Tottenham in the Premier League. Live boxing tomorrow night, and that's also on our YouTube channel. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every single Premier League game, full programme of fixtures, everybody's involved, and it's only live with us. Some cracking games next week. Tottenham against Manchester City, Nottingham Forest against Arsenal, Liverpool against Newcastle. That's all on the same night, I think. I think that's all on Wednesday night. All live on the network.
Did you say Spurs City?
I did.
Yeah.
And forward by Cody down the right. There's Vardy cross. I thought you were going to correct me then.
No.
There's a goal kick to Brentford away on our right-hand side. What about the Brentford defence tonight, Scott, and the way that there's that determination there, isn't there, to keep a clean sheet? Even though everybody in the ground knows that Brentford are going to win this game, they're still determined to come out with a 3-0.
No, absolutely. And, I said what I think Thomas Frank perhaps would have said. And he wouldn't have said, look, you don't need to score, but he would have said, just keep on it, do not concede. If you're a goalkeeper, as I know goalkeepers, but defenders as well, yeah, you want to make sure that it stays 3-0, and if there is another goal, it's 4 or even 5. Game management's been very good. I've talked about how defensively they're well drilled, they know exactly what to do. There's good partnerships there, both horizontally and vertically. They defend when they need to defend.
Buonanotte tries to slide through pass to Jamie Vardy. It's cleared upfield by Brentford and Schade down the left-hand side. Header away by Yannick Vestergaard. Leicester 0, Brentford 3 on Talksport with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract, like Leicester against Brentford live right now. Search Now Sports. Leicester have it with Soumare. Left of centre, 25 yards out. Buonanotte with a curler, just wide of goal.
Well, that's what he can do. Find little pockets of space. Ball into him. Quick turn. And actually, he'll be really disappointed he hasn't hit the target. He's 19 yards out. He has got to whip it past a few players, so therefore he's starting a little bit wide, and it's got to curl in a lot. Again, you just try and hit the target.
Off goes Schade now for Brentford, a scorer in back-to-back away games, but not tonight. Yunus Konak will come on. He's spent over a year at Brentford now. The Turkish player did pick up an injury quite soon after joining the club, but Here he comes onto the field now in the really driving rain, and Thomas Frank, he's having words with Schade. I think Schade wanted to stay on, fancied a goal. You can understand that frustration. He looks really disappointed, Schade, of his team are winning 3-0. I'm sure he'll feel better in a minute.
Well, he's had 86 minutes to try and score.
Yeah.
And again, Thomas Frank, as much as he knows his player will be disappointed, he's got to think bigger picture. The game midweek.
Fast rolls the ball back to Hermansen, the Leicester goalkeeper. Bristol City have beaten Middlesbrough by 2-1 in the Championship. Burnley 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0 is the latest score. Portugal 1, England's women 1 is a full-time score. Leicester 0, Brentford 3. Lots to talk about. Sports Bar Weekender comes next. Weekend Sports Breakfast tomorrow from 6. Good play by Lewis Potter, darting up the inside left. He's pulled it back towards the onrushing Carvalho, and he was well covered by Soumare. They definitely have shown some spirit in the second half, Leicester. They haven't completely down tools, but the game was over at half-time.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, Brentford have just dropped a level in terms of intensity. The game's done. You've got to be playing like that or defending like that when it's 0-0, 1-0. You know, 2-0, 3-0, it's game over. You're not coming back from that. You're not good enough going forward. We talked about how they're not good enough in both boxes, and I do feel for Jamie Vardy. Hugh just gave me a nudge actually and said, you know, why is he still on the pitch? And I couldn't agree more. Game's done. Take him off. Don't want him to get injured for sure.
Leicester's top scorer, 38, still their main source of goals. Very close to 200 for the club. Heading into the last minute and 45 seconds of normal time. Over the top from Yarmoliuk. High down the right-hand side. A raking ball that Mbeumo has got to. He can pull it back. Mbeumo into the area. Denied by the goalkeeper from a very tight angle. And the rebound is steered into the net. It's Fabio Carvalho for 4 for Brentford to crown off an utterly miserable night for Leicester City and Ruud van Nistelrooy. They remain deep in relegation trouble. It's hard to see how they get out of it, and Brentford are very much in the conversation for Europe. Carvalho has finished it off, and for Brentford it's certainly not a flattering scoreline. It is Leicester 0, Brentford 4, and now the King Power Stadium really does start to empty.
Yeah, look, you know, Leicester have been shocking defensively, and again it's another poor goal to concede, but I don't think they deserve this with the second half performance. The game was done and dusted. They have showed a bit of character. They're just not good enough. But to concede a fourth now, and it's all about Brian Mbeumo really running down the right-hand side, being able to have that wrestle with Christensen, and yet still been able to somehow get a shot off. It's a good save. But again, you know, there's 5-6 Leicester players around there, and yet how is it that Fabio Carvalho can get the ball, take a touch, and then just hammer it into the goal? It's just typical again of poor defending. It is a little bit harsh, sorry Joe, a little bit harsh in terms of the second half performance, but it's definitely been a 3-4-0 game, and I think we just saw Hermansen almost have a bit of an argument with one of his teammates, not sure who it was.
Absolutely right, Scott. Brentford up to 10th in the Premier League. The chant from the away end is "We want 5", just 3 added minutes at the end of the game. Brentford hit 5 away at Southampton recently in the Premier League. You can understand completely why the King Power Stadium is verging on empty at this moment. Leicester with Mavididi can't wriggle his way through to the edge of the penalty area. So Fabio Carvalho in on the act, and his first goal since the 5th of October. 4 away wins in a row for Brentford. That is not to be sniffed at in the Premier League.
It's incredible. It's a very difficult thing to do, something they haven't done before. And look, I said about how I thought it was a good substitution bringing on Fabio Carvalho and wanting to make a bit of an impact, show his manager that he should be starting. He hasn't really done that in terms of bossing the play, but certainly a goal helps. I just want to give the Leicester fans who have stayed a mention as well.
Yeah,
must be really hard to do, and absolutely within their rights to walk away before this game finishes with how bad their team has been, not just today but for the majority of this season. Yet they're still here trying to support their team, so well done to them.
Well, the chant from the Leicester fans, quite loud, of those who are here: "We want Rudkin out." That's aimed at the director of football, who is here to listen to those chants And now we're hearing sacked in the morning. I think that's coming from the Brentford supporters. Leicester 0, Brentford 4 on Talksport. And we're 90 seconds through 3 added at the end of the game. Rain has stopped. And Burmo sweeps the ball left. Lewis Potter, Brentford attacking at will. He's played it into the penalty area. Magoma has held it up. Right on the edge of the D. Could be on for the right-footed shot, and he was allowed to turn. Vestergaard in the way, then a simple ball to the right. Coyote drills it in low. Vestergaard slides in and turns it behind for a corner. Can't believe that Magoma was given about 5 yards of space to turn there on the edge of the D.
It's incredible. Again, another sign of just Leicester dropping off, how poor they are in terms of intensity defensively. You can hear the Brentford fans saying we want 5. There's every chance of them still being able to do it.
Smiles on the Brentford bench, and they've certainly loved every moment in the away section. And Burmo will take the corner. There's only 30 seconds to go now. 4-0 to Brentford at the King Power Stadium. More and more empty blue seats appearing all the time. Here it comes from Burmo, hides the 6-yard box, punched away by Hermansen. He's come out with some credit in the game, the goalkeeper. Had no chance with any of the goals, and there's a Leicester man down in the box at the moment. And I think it's Vestergaard who eventually does get to his feet. There's only a few seconds for Leicester fans to endure now. Such a chastening night. When Jamie Vardy went clear early on, you did wonder. His shot was saved by Mark Flecken, and ever since then, it's been all Brentford. Not sure what's happening here. The goalkeeper's kicked it to the halfway line, and the referee tried to catch it. So you tell me.
Well, is he saying that's it? Or was drop ball? Both.
And boos greet the final whistle as Leicester lose 6 home league games in a row for the first time in their entire history. Miserable weather here, totally appropriate for the situation as the weight of pressure rains down on Ruud van Nistelrooy. That is 10 defeats in 11 in the Premier League for Leicester City, who are deeply mired in relegation trouble. How they get out of it, it remains very difficult to see, particularly on the evidence of the defensive performance in the first half. All credit, though, to Brentford. They've won back-to-back Premier League games, home and away, away from home, and back-to-back victories in the Premier League for the first time this season. 4 successive away league wins for Brentford, the first time they've ever done it in the Premier League. And who says they can't be part of the European conversation? Only 4 points off 7th place. Visser and Burmo and Norgard ended the game as a contest by half-time. Carvalho with the 4th in stoppage time at the end of the match. This was a cruise for Brentford. It was one of Leicester's worst days of the season so far. Leicester 0, Brentford 4.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, Leicester City could be paying for poor recruitment and overspending in seasons gone by. But tonight, the Foxes paid for weak, pathetic defending and got exactly what they deserved. Brentford do the league double over Leicester for the first time since 1953. They move into the Premier League's top 10, 4 points behind Newcastle, who are in 7th place. Leicester stay 2 points from safety. They look destined for an immediate return to the Championship. This, their 10th defeat in 11 Premier League games, and with it they become the first team in Premier League history to lose 6 straight home games without scoring a single goal. Foxes fans, do you still believe that Ruud van Nistelrooy has what it takes to turn this around? Could another boss possibly get more out of this team? 03717 223344. Sports Bar Weekend are coming up very shortly with Adam Cattrall and the former West Ham frontman Carlton Cole. And Brentford fans, wow, could this run possibly take you into Europe? Do you think you're good enough to make more history at the club? 03717 223344. We'll hear from both managers, Thomas Frank and Ruud van Nistelrooy, live into the Sports Bar very, very shortly. Burnley have just made it 4-0 and the full-time whistle has gone. They move within 2 points of the automatic promotion spots in the Championship. 4-0 win over Sheffield Wednesday at Turf Moor. Bristol City came from behind to beat Middlesbrough 2-1 at Ashton Gate. They move into the playoff spots. 5 straight defeats, though, for Michael Carrick's Borough. England's women began their Nations League campaign with a 1-1 draw with Portugal. World champion Spain beat Belgium 3-2. Defeats for the other home nations: Poland at 2, Northern Ireland 0. Austria beat Scotland by a goal to 0. Italy beat Wales by the same scoreline. Scott Minto, what do we say about that? I mean, the cheers that greeted Buonanotte when he came on, we have to really talk about that, because that was a big message to Ruud van Nistelrooy from the fans about what they think about his team selection.
Yes, and I said that at the start, and I must have said it 3 or 4 times during the game. I don't get it. I think there's a personality clash between the two. And look, I do get the fact that the manager has to be happy with any kind of attitude that a player might or might not have. I don't know if he has. I don't know what it was about. I heard it was, there was a bit of an argument about the type of boots that he wore. But the manager has to get the player back on side. When Buonanotte came on, not only did he get a massive cheer, but he looked the most dangerous player in a Leicester shirt. Within seconds, he had half a chance. He probably had about 3 chances for the rest of the game, which is about 3 chances more than anyone else had other than Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy, what was he still doing on the pitch at the end when the game was done? And there's a big game coming up now against West Ham on Thursday. My goodness me. I mean, we haven't got enough time to go through it. But the bottom line is, defensively, they're just so poor.
Leicester go to West Ham United live on Talksport next Thursday evening. That is a huge game for both Ruud van Nistelrooy and Graham Potter of West Ham United. But the big question after this for me has to be, and I'm sorry to say it, Scott, will Ruud still be in charge? What do you think?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think anyone would struggle against his side. Look, do I think I've been critical of him, and he's got to change things. He had to change things at half-time. He did. It was better in the second half, but the game was done. It's not about, playing and showing a little bit of character at 3-0 down when the other team's now in second, third gear. But this team's just not good enough, Hugh. And do you know what? I mean, everyone's having a go at John Rudkin, but quite often when the hierarchy get amount of stick that they're getting, and it's 10 defeats in 11, and there are ways that you can have a go at Ruud van Nistelrooy as well, then I do worry for him. Do I think he should get sacked? Well, tell me who would do a better job right now. But he's not maximising these players, but honestly, I don't think anyone could.
Let's talk about Brentford very quickly. They host Everton next Wednesday in the Premier League. Important game for both of those sides as well. They were very, very good tonight. Leicester did make it easy for them, but actually you walk away from here and you can see this side probably does have more than enough to challenge for a place in Europe, which would be magnificent.
Well, I said before the game, I think it's going to be a bit too much for them, and obviously they've played an extra game now, but they are, 4 points off 7th? You just never know. I mean, it's difficult to judge Brentford against a Leicester side that are this poor. But you can say what happened last week against West Ham and others as well, Crystal Palace and other games that they've played in. If they can sort of marry up their home form a little bit now that's just fallen off, absolutely they've got in for a chance, because they're a really well-oiled unit. Their front four look, I think outside the top 6, are probably the best in the Premier League. Midfield, they're very hard-working and very honest. And then you look at the defenders, and they love defending, but they're also comfortable on the ball. It's a really, really good side. Yeah. This is an absolute golden period for Brentford. Yeah. The Bees fans should enjoy this now.
Bit of a difficult start for them, but they've certainly turned things around. Remember, there may well be 5 Champions League spots for next season in the Premier League.
Are you putting them in the Champions League?
No, which means 8 could be enough for a place in Europe, and they are only 2 points off that at this point in time, so they will certainly keep fighting to make it to Europe for the first time in their history. A great night for Brentford, absolutely terrible for Leicester City. Get your calls in 03717 223344. Let's quickly pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Man of the match on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
I just pointed to your team sheet, Scott. I just wanted to know. I wanted to know.
I'll ask you. Hugh, tell us who the man of the match is.
We have both gone for.
We have. Listen, Visser scored the first goal, very important, and Burmo scored the second goal, obviously very important. But Mikel Damsgaard, for me, 2 assists and just ran the show, and he's having a wonderful season, he really is, so I'm giving it to him.
Yeah, sensational performance, a trio of assists tonight. Mikkel Damsgaard of Brentford, our man of the match from today's game with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.